The dark and mysterious girl's name is Lorasi Epin. She is a demoness who dreams of a quiet and measured life as a housewife. The beautiful villainess is also called the illegitimate child of the House of Appin, and in this damn world, being a bastard is unbearable and lonely. As expected from this cruel and barren world, it did not accept a scoundrel like Lorasi Epin. Therefore, the only thing the villain could do for herself was to build a fortress around herself and fence herself off from everyone. Having surrounded herself with a huge and indestructible fortress wall, the girl did not enjoy her solitude for long. Despite the fact that the inhabitants of Lorasi Epin Castle called it the Fortress of the Villain, 4 guests soon arrived there. The first traveler turned out to be Sir Damien, who served as a butler at the Appin family estate. The second guest was Sir Sion, a young man who was a former knight of the defeated army, and currently a servant. The third visitor was the most mysterious and dangerous. His name was Belision, and demonic blood flowed through him. And the villainess's fourth guest was the best swordsman of the Empire and the great Northern Duke, Ethan. Fate has had its own way with Lorasi's life plans, and each of these characters will bring her a new twist in the plot. The villainess fought so hard for her peace and privacy, and now there is such chaos and complete uncertainty in her path. Lorasi Appin found herself in the very center of a hurricane of events. Who could have imagined? No matter how much the villainess wished for her 4 guests to disappear, their fates are now closely intertwined. The intervention of these heroes has set in motion a chain of events that cannot be ignored, and now the villain will be reborn. So Lorasi Appin was never a noblewoman by birth. The villainess was abandoned by her parents when she was still a baby, and Lorasi had to fight for her right to live in the slums. When the girl was drawing something on the ground in one of the stinking alleys, a strange man approached her. So that's what it is, Lorasi Epin. The little girl's hand immediately twitched in surprise. Usually no one notices it. What does this man want from a poor and useless commoner? And who is he? The man had a noble bearing and was wearing luxurious clothes made of expensive fabric. He is her father. Of course, upon learning that Lorasi was not alone in this terrible world, she immediately grabbed her father's hand and never wanted to let go. This is how the young villainess became an illegitimate and unwanted child in the Appin house. The little girl had seen nothing but the stinking and dangerous slums, so she was blinded by the beauty and luxury of her father's estate. This house is so huge and beautiful. Is Lorasi really going to live here now? Let the girl greet her family members. These were the girl's stepmother and her 2 older brothers, and for all of them the very existence of the bastard was disgusting and unbearable. The little girl has learned well to recognize danger in people. Without this, one cannot survive in the slums. That's why the little villain immediately recoiled from her vile relatives. This was not at all what she had dreamed of. She is so scared, that woman. There is so much poison in her gaze. Lorasi must greet her family members. The father only humbled the girl with a cold and unapproachable look. She must show respect and reverence. A cold sweat ran down the little girl's face. What kind of trap had Lorasi fallen into again? She felt uneasy with those people. But then the child from the slums simply had no choice. Her name is Lorasi, and she asks to take care of herself. The little girl began to tug at her dirty rags. She wants to go back outside. The disgusted looks of the people in the Epin estate were like a slow-acting poison that killed her more and more noticeably each time. It was too cruel. A small and lonely child could not bear all this bullying and abuse. So day turned to night, and Lorasi still felt like the most lonely and unhappy child in this world. The stepmother clicked her tongue in displeasure. How much longer can we mess around with this girl's behavior? The little girl came out into the hall in only one shoe. She held the other one in her hand. This disgraceful girl can't even put on her shoes by herself. The girl is just disgusting. She is sorry. The laces broke, and Lorasi was going to change them. Who allowed this ignorant girl to contradict her older brothers? The vile boys immediately stretched out in poisonous smiles. This girl shows in every action where she comes from. Her low class cannot be hidden by any clothes. The little girl hung her head in resignation and walked away. It would have been better if she had never known who her father was. The maid smiled at the girl and called her. Lorasi did something wrong again. They want to scold her for something. This is not true at all. The maid simply brought a hot dinner for the young miss. After all, she needs to eat to gain strength and grow. This is food for a bastard. The girl must eat it all to the last drop because it was made especially for her. Poor Lorasi's plate was full of slop, and the little girl slid down the wall onto the floor, exhausted, which was what she had done to them all. The Count's estate was filled with tormentors and sadists. Larazi did no harm to anyone, for which they drove her out of this world. Thus the little heroine formed her personality in utter pain and loneliness. They became an integral part of her. There was not a single person near her who was ready or willing to stand on her side and protect her. Therefore, Larazi herself became this person. The girl inevitably changed step by step because her survival depended on it. The maid doesn't even understand what she did wrong. She's so sorry, she'll fix everything. Let the mistress just tell her what she did wrong. And why should Milady Larazi explain anything to her at all, where such arrogance comes from in low-class servants? And now, because of this worthless woman, the entire floor in the hall is flooded with wine. Larazi has changed for the worse, as expected. The name of the villain spread throughout the entire Count's estate. The persecuted girl grew up and became a nightmare for all her tormentors. The girl threw the plate of meat on the floor. The clink of dishes was heard. What the hell, this girl is putting it out again. Count Eppin roared with rage. He couldn't stand it any longer. She had completely lost her mind. The stepmother waved her fan in disgust and bared her teeth. Let her husband leave this worthless thing alone. She was not capable of more. And she was always just a problem, but the villainess never held a grudge against her family members. She believed that the main problem really lay in her low origin, because she had been told about it all her life. An illegitimate child of a commoner, this is how Larazi developed self-hatred and contempt. But one day she heard the fateful words. Her older brother declared that he did not care about the origin of a certain lady because he loved her. The villainess discovered that her brother's bride was an ordinary commoner. This was a fatal shock for her, a point of no return. She was overcome with fierce jealousy because she never received a warm welcome. But why does no one love her? From that day on, the crippled girl was completely broken and turned to dark magic. To gain the family's recognition, however, like any great villain, Larazi was destined for a miserable ending. The exhausted girl's body fell heavily to the floor, sprinkling the walls of the Emin family's house with her blood. There was not a single glimmer of light in the life of the villain Eppin, and so her story ended in cold and pitch darkness. And so an ordinary office worker from South Korea was reborn in the body of Larazi Eppin, a story as old as the world. Then she was fired, she wandered the streets in despair, and one stranger handed her a book, promising a rich and idle life. The girl didn't even have time to blink before she entered into some kind of magical contract without even realizing it. It wasn't that there was anything holding her back in her past life, but Larazi Eppin's existence was certainly not one of luxury and leisure. However, the girl refuses to die such a miserable death as was described in the original plot. She will survive. And she also plans to become a young, rich, and successful aristocrat. This is clear to the author. She will write her own destiny. Here the girl jumped up from her bed from a deafening scream. Larazi, what the hell was that? The man angrily spat out every word. It was all her fault. She had ruined his life. What the hell? Who the hell is this guy anyway? If Larazi hadn't fired him, Anna wouldn't have ended up like this. The uncle definitely didn't confuse the girl with anyone else, and with the help of this magic scroll, he will take revenge on the vile villainess. Let this creature die, and why did it take possession of this body at such a dangerous moment? And who is this Anna? The man will kill this bitch, burn out her black heart and soul, and then send her to hell where she belongs. He will never forget what this bastard did, no one will save her, and they can discuss all this. But she is not the real Larazi. She ended up here because of that psycho, of course. Her past life was trash, but this is not a paradise either. Since the girl immediately took on the memories of her heroine, she quickly came to terms with her situation. Could it be that she was really reincarnated into the body of a villain and is now the heroine of a novel? The girl will take advantage of her heroine's beauty and wealth to live carefree like a real aristocrat. However, this was a mistake. The villain had already managed to do so much. This bitch fired Anna, and she fell ill. Their marriage collapsed. This angry man is standing right next to the exit, so Larazi can't even escape from him. With every minute, the rage and hatred of this psycho only grows. We need to stun him with a candlestick and get out of here. A furious roar was heard in the room. Let this creature stand still and not even think about running away. Why, at a time like this, why can't she just enjoy the luxurious and carefree life even in a novel? She has no one to rely on. No one will come to the villain's aid. Only she can protect herself. What is this man thinking? Did his Anna really want all this? The man stared at Larazi in shock, his hands frozen, postponing the moment of the villainess's execution, and this moment was enough for her. She's very sorry. The villain will definitely compensate for this later, but now she'll knock him out, okay? The girl opened her eyes. It seemed the candlestick had hit the target, since she was still alive. Here, a velvety male voice was heard. The young lady is fine, those amber eyes, silver hair. Some unknown young man of incredible beauty twisted the attacker and held him at the feet of his lady. The young man apologizes for being late. He hopes his mistress is not hurt. Wow, who is this handsome man? Is it possible that Milady Larazi has lost her power of speech from shock? Is it all because of the beauty of her savior? Is it he who has such an effect on her? The brave young man took a few steps towards the villainess. Maybe it was worth calling the family doctor here. Mrs. Eppin stares at one point and is silent. Her pupils are dilated, and her heart beats so strongly and loudly that the savior can hear it. Maybe he should call a doctor here. These are all very alarming symptoms. Why does this beautiful hero touch Larazi? Why does he do it so naturally? Maybe he is her lover. Behind them they heard the footsteps of the guards. What was going on here? What was the butler Damien doing here? So this fantastic young man is the butler of the Appin house. The girl almost made a mistake. That man over there just tried to harm Mrs. Larazi. He needs to be questioned immediately. It will be done. 2 guards approached the attacker and twisted his arms. He will be sent to the dungeon. The guards will take the scoundrel to the interrogation room. Just a minute. Something is clearly wrong here. The butler Damien easily got into Larazi's bedroom. However, the guards standing right outside her doors did not even move to help the aristocrat. Yes, Larazi is in a very sad situation. The lady is really wrong. This happened because of her bad attitude towards the service staff. They may all serve House Appin, but they are still human, so Damien asks Milady to treat them as such. And in the future, the lady should not disband the guards so as to prevent such situations. Damien gave her such care instructing her. He's not like the others despise Larazi, but this guy is sincerely trying to help her. She understood everything. Of course, the butler has no right to give advice to the lady, but he is worried about her. Wait, what did Milady Appin say? She agrees with him. And why does Milady Larazi agree? Damien will call the doctor. She is definitely in shock. Everything is so bad. Has Mrs. Eppin forgotten her behavior? Which is precisely what makes Damien now surprised by her consent and understanding. And now, maybe Milady Larazi should then return to her normal state, under no circumstances. Since Miss Larazi is no longer in danger, the butler will go about his duties. And my lady should get a good rest. People become kinder when they get enough sleep, which means they become kinder. Damien also asks not to fire the maid this time. The lady will deal with this herself. Okay. This young man continues to talk so frankly and openly with the villainess. Knowing about her tyranny, he is a good person. To be honest, the butler was incredibly good and the best she had ever met. She said it out loud now. Damien immediately blushed with embarrassment. What the lady was saying, it was so funny to watch his confusion. This was her little revenge. Well, the girl is really tired. She should rest. Let Damien fix the door he knocked down before leaving. This agreement, Larazi has a bad feeling. She must not repeat the fate of the villain of the novel. However, Larazi Aaron's terrible reputation preceded her, and she had simply asked the name of the maid. Why was she crying and shaking? The maid fell at her mistress's feet and begged him to have mercy, but the aristocrat was not going to punish her. Larazi can rise to the level of a maid. She just needs to know the name of the person who serves her. That's all. The pupils of the frightened mustard immediately dilated in surprise. That is, her name will not be included in the list of candidates for execution. What nonsense! Such a list really does exist. The maid's name is Irina, it seems. Contrary to the rumors of Milady Appin, she is a good person. Here, the doors of the young aristocrat's private chambers swung open loudly, and again this bitch took up her duties. What did she say? The older brother's eyes flashed with anger and disgust towards the girl. A worthless bastard will always be a bastard. How can you be so cruel? The poor maid is scared to death. Larazi will not become better, much less noble, by humiliating other people. She only exposes her own vile face. What an image her character has, and why did this bastard have to enter the room at that particular moment? As soon as this guy walked into the bedroom, Larazi immediately recognized him. He was the most painful memory in her character's mind. Larazi's elder brother, the heir to the House of Appin, he was her family. The villainess so longed for his recognition, warmth, and love. It was he who broke the villain. He fell in love with the commoner and brought her into the house, giving her the love of their family. Larazi could no longer bear this. She begged for their love so much, considered herself vile and unworthy of it because of her origin. But that girl was also a commoner, and because of her devouring jealousy, Larazi almost killed her older brother's fiancé. Calix Epin, the next count of the House of Epin, how much disgust and anger there was in his eyes. The heir was always a good master to his servants, but always cruel when it came to Larazi. Larazi was not taught anything, but was harshly and mercilessly reproached for every wrong step. The real Larazi would have been deeply hurt by Calix's words now, and she would have only made the situation worse. However, now there is another person in the villain's body, and she will rewrite the unfortunate fate of Larazi Epin. Larazi is a lady, not just Calix's younger sister, so barging in on her without knocking is rather impolite. Why should the heir of the Epin family warn of his visit if at any moment she could arrange intrigues for his staff? What kind of politeness is this ignorant brat even talking about his brother's words cut like a knife? Calix can't see, but Larazi's face is frozen with pain and annoyance. Does he really think that way about her? The older brother rolled his eyes. Everyone thinks so, and it's Larazi's own fault. What's the point of this performance? And Larazi dares to so brazenly deny his immoral actions. If Calix makes a mistake now, he will take responsibility. Of course, Calix is always ready for responsibility. Larazi should be ready too. That's wonderful. In the dark soul of the villainess, one event took a special place, the wedding of her elder brother to a commoner. Everyone was so happy about it. The House of Epin sincerely loved Eliza. Larazi was sure that she was despised because of her origin, but Calix dared to love and marry someone who was unworthy of him. Eliza was showered with love by the Epin family, being the same as Larazi, but they only despised her. Then she snapped and cursed her entire family. However, there was something else in this story that simply did not fit into my head. When Calix Epin died from the villainess's black curse, Larazi was overcome with grief. Next to his dying body, the villainess continued to deny her guilt, so something did happen there after all. It is necessary to find out all the details of what happened, but first atone for the sins of Larazi, which means Calix is sure that his sister abused the maid. So Milady Larazi actually made the maid kneel before her. Let the maid not be afraid of anything and answer the question honestly. Calix will protect her from this monster. Nothing of the sort. The maid fell for false rumors about the young mistress and got scared. My lady did nothing. On the contrary, my lady gave her her hand to help the girl up. This is a misunderstanding. Well, Calix heard everything well. What the heir of the House of Epin will say now. This maid stood up for the villain, said everything directly and without deception. This maid's name is Irina, the girl should remember her name, and now it's time to make peace with her older brother. Calix is not to blame for anything. She has reason to worry, because Larazi's behavior in the past was simply terrible. But now his sister has overcome her anger. She will no longer harm others and will ignore Calix's accusation. So this situation will remain just a simple misunderstanding, and now let the heir also be kind and leave her bedroom. Or the older brother refuses to admit his mistake despite such compelling evidence. Since this is all really a misunderstanding, Calix apologizes and leaves, and that's good. But let Larazi keep in mind that the future count will not allow her to show cruelty to others. She will not get away with it. What a bastard! Calix slammed the door so loudly on purpose. Well, okay. The villainess won't fall for such a pathetic and childish provocation. Her fate is at stake. A couple of days had passed since her rebirth in Larazi. She was enjoying the luxurious life of the daughter of Count Epin. A rich and carefree life suits her much better. Being a spoiled aristocrat is so nice. Everything will be fine if you avoid practicing dark magic and don't try to kill your older brother's fiancé. It will be easy as pie. Now she will finally heal, and at first everything was like that. Larazi is dressed so indecently that her relatives themselves invited the villain to dinner, but it turned into a disaster. Where did this little shop dig up such vulgarity? Let the mother leave her alone. Low quality cannot be hidden by any outfit. These vultures were throwing mud at Larazi every second. No wonder she lost her mind and broke down. The real Larazi Epin would have considered all these words deserved and would have done everything to gain the recognition and love of her tormentors. However, the girl in the body of a villain cannot be broken by the pathetic persecution of rotten and unhappy people. What kind of rudeness is this right in the middle of a meal? Let the girl sit down in her seat immediately. The stench of rot is too strong here, and these scavengers will find it much more convenient to discuss the girl behind her back. What Larazi just said, she managed to contradict them. Let her go already, if that's what she wants. So have a nice evening, everyone, and don't let this nest of snakes choke on its own poison. And for the sake of the attention of these insignificant people, the stupid and unhappy Larazi ruined her destiny. Behind the girl, the nasty voice of Count Epin's youngest son was heard. Ugh, him again! Let Larazi stop immediately. Lindell Appin, second son of the Count and shadow of Calix Appin. What kind of rudeness is this towards your family? Let the nasty girl immediately come back and apologize to everyone. What a hysterical cry, and Lindell is definitely a boy. Larazi took care of the peace of this family. She has nothing to apologize for. These pathetic scavengers should be grateful to Larazi, so there is nothing to scream about. Otherwise, Lindell is about to spit all over her dress, what she said. The second brother grabbed the villainess's wrist. Where did she go? He wasn't finished with her yet. Stop drawing attention to yourself. Her behavior is disgusting as always and evokes nothing but contempt. Larazi now correctly understands that all her sister's hysteria is only because she left the dining hall. This stupid girl really doesn't understand anything or is just pretending. What a moron. His thirst for attention is impressive. Larazi has no intention of becoming part of their viper's nest. But Lindell still continues to look for her, to start quarrels, like a real child who lacks communication. What is she saying? The younger brother immediately blushed. Let him be honest, he likes Larazi. What impudence. What is this crazy girl saying Larazi doesn't give a damn about her younger brother, and the only reason she keeps running into him is because he takes the initiative? Only Lindell is always running after the girl and looking for a reason to enter into a dialogue with her, isn't he? So from this moment on, let this brat with attention deficit disorder not bother the villainess anymore. Lindell stared in amazement after his sister as she left. What was that just now? The boy tried for a long time to formulate a sharp and outstanding answer, but all his attempts were in vain. The offended boy burst into hysterical screams, and the villain's name spread throughout the entire estate. Meanwhile, the villainess decided to take a relaxing bath. Irina carefully heated the water for her. Well, finally, the delights of the rich life of an aristocrat, the water is so pleasant. Here, Larazi's head became hot. A sharp and acute pain hits his temple, which apparently is Larazi's memories. The villainess will torment and curse Calix until his death, consciousness revealing a disturbing future that she had been avoiding. A poisonous resentment spread through the villainess's body. Calix blamed Larazi for all her troubles, since she was an illegitimate child. Lindell, with his endless bullying due to lack of attention from his family. A vile countess whose hatred was so tangible that it seemed you could touch it with your hands. And finally, Father Larazi, who is completely indifferent. If she stays in this house, her future will definitely not change. The girl cannot lose her chance at a second life by living with these scavengers. She will follow their plan. At this moment, the newly minted heroine decided to acquire her own home where she would be safe. And for this, Larazi Epin needs to become independent from the Epin house. She needs funds. Then the villainess will be able to rewrite her destiny and buy a nice little house somewhere in a secluded and quiet place. You can try to carve out some money from the family budget, but she will need help. In any case, in this world, Larazi will need a loyal comrade, but who could it be? Oh, right. The person who had already helped her once, only out of pure and good intentions, would be perfect for this role. That handsome and noble butler was named Damien, because that way he would be able to stand up for her when her relatives would oppress her. If you can convince such a character to help the villain, it will be a great help. She needs Damien. The girl has come up with a great plan, and she can't wait to see what comes of it. Even though she got the body of a broken and insane villain, she can handle it. So Larazi has come after all. Let her sit down at the table. They will discuss everything after the meal. So, a little backstory on how the villain came to this. A few days ago, she was enjoying a luxurious life and had almost forgotten that her end was predetermined. Here, Larazi's consciousness was again struck with a sharp pain by the memory of her painful end. How could the girl forget about the fatal ending? She urgently needs to fix everything right now. Let Irina immediately bring the lady paper and pen. It will be done. So, Larazi is the illegitimate child of Count Larazi, so she shouldn't count on any privileges. With such wealth, Count Epin could easily help his daughter, but he does not have warm feelings for her. Besides, Larazi still has value on the marriage market, and it is only for this reason that the Count keeps her close to him. As soon as Larazi is given in marriage to her father's advantage, he will throw her out, and her husband will become her owner, but she has a trump card against the Count. The trump card was the memories of the real villain, and with their help, Larazi will win the negotiations with the Count. And now is the very moment when the fate of the novel's villain must change. So the young lady needs to discuss something with Count Appin, as Larazi called him. Why is it that the daughter suddenly calls her father so formally? What did Larazi think of? A completely expected reaction. Larazi always expected that the family would accept her, so she called the Count father and the Countess mother. Larazi was sure that they would accept her, but she was destined to become a bitter and hunted villain. But the girl is not like her heroine. She has no need to beg for someone else's love and sacrifice her life. Calling her Count father was childish naivety and an unhealthy dependency that she had outgrown. What did Larazi just say, and where does such discontent come from? The Count despised his own daughter all his life. Has the ego of the father of the year been hurt? This looks childish and ridiculous. And to be honest, the girl doesn't care at all about the emotional experiences of this family, only about their money. This is the only way the villain can be saved, so Larazi Appin wants to become independent from their house. What? Count Appin choked on his wine. Why is Larazi suddenly becoming independent? Could the girl possibly have any reasons for this? It was a completely expected reaction, since Larazi only wanted to be close to this family. Of course, Count Appin would never have agreed to this just like that. The Count would not claim that he did not know all this time how his own daughter was being bullied and mocked by everyone around her. Well, the girl doesn't care at all about the reasons for the behavior of the Count and other vultures. Larazi just wants to cut all ties with this rotten place and start a new life somewhere else. So Count Appin is obliged to let the girl go and give her his consent to independence. It's impossible. Larazi still has the blood of the Count. He will talk to the family, and their living conditions will improve. What are we talking about? In the weekly persecution, a day off will be appointed. Even if the old man does not even count on it, she will not fall for it. So the bastard of Count Appin is not saying all this emotionally and is not hysterical. She is demanding that she is finally released. And for this, the girl needs the head of the county of Appin to finance her business. This is her business proposal. If Larazi's business succeeds, the girl will gain her independence. The Asmodeus Empire uses the Roman Empire's Silk Road to trade with the Aska Empire, which is currently in conflict with each other. So soon the path between the Roman Kingdom and the Aska Empire will be blocked. And the only way to trade will be by sea. The Count must acquire rights to use the port in advance. And as soon as Larazi gets to use the sea route instead of the Great Silk Road, none of the court nobility mentioned anything like that. And what are these marks? Dried oak stems, 5-colored stones. Larazi is an uneducated, ugly woman. So where did a stupid girl from the slums, who doesn't even have an education, get such knowledge? Dad actually said it out loud, and whose merit is it? I would have strangled him, but I can't. Now Larazi's words lack persuasiveness, so she will provide evidence. Soon the Aska Empire will send ambassadors to discuss maritime trade. Secret negotiations will take place in the royal palace. When the Count is convinced of his bastard's words, then example sentence, if Larazi was wrong, she will accept the consequences. And how did the girl become aware of such political details? What consequences does Larazi speak of? The girl will fulfill her role. What other role did the Count initially prepare for her? After all, he chose her only because it would be a profitable marriage for him. But if she succeeds, she will take 30% of the profits and finally leave here. The villainess's proposal will bring 100 times more profit than her arranged marriage. It's impossible not to agree with such a proposal. Why is this old man thinking about it for so long? Count Appin will think about what was said later, but for now, let Larazi go to his place. The villainess will be looking forward to her long-awaited freedom and immodest profits from business. Meanwhile, his second son stood outside his father's office door. What the hell is going on here? Why does father even listen to this stupid and worthless girl? The girl conducted the negotiations beautifully, but now she is squeezed out. The Count must agree to her condition, right? Larazi wants to live a happy life as soon as possible without hatred and resentment, and also to have a charming tale. She will live like in a fairy tale, which will be filled with happiness and light. I can't wait. However, the girl will still need a person who will be her hands and feet, and here is a maid with hot tea for the mistress. Since that incident, Irina has stopped being afraid of her and does not try to flatter her. She has a pleasant and calm character. So Irene is an excellent candidate. Very soon Milady Larazi will leave the county of Appin. So suddenly the maid had reasons to be afraid of her. In this house, everyone considers Larazi a rotten apple. And the illegitimate daughter no longer has a reason to stay in this house. Irina does not want to go with her. The servant knows that her mistress is a kind person. Irina wishes her happiness, but she will not be able to follow her. This is too unexpected for the maid, but there is still time to convince Irene to follow her ladyship. So the girl is still afraid of Larazi, not at all, of course. There are many terrible rumors circulating around the lady. But this is not true. Let the maid just take her time and think about Larazi's offer. After all, Miss Larazi will be independent of the county. She will have her own new home. Milady is half an aristocrat after all. She will need security and also staff. But why does she need so much of everything? If the lady needs to hire people, Irina will suggest a good place, and she will not have to waste time searching. That would be wonderful, because the villain here knows absolutely no one. Cold sweat was running down the villainess's face. That's who was pulling her tongue. This is a terrible place, even worse than the Eppin estate. The maid brought her mistress to the subordinates market. Why didn't Irina say a word about the fact that this was not a recruitment agency? This is a market for trading living souls, but there is no better place for it here. There was a terrifying atmosphere of pain and despair, with people screaming and the sound of heavy shackles heard everywhere. A menacing voice was heard in the shadows. It seemed that a voice had just been heard near his prison. The servant sensed these people. Usually aristocrats hired commoners to serve them, but if they had financial difficulties, they hired servants. In this world, the trade in servants is legal, and subordinates are treated like objects. In the past, some servants would kill their masters and run away, but now, thanks to magical shackles, it is quite safe to have them. Subordinates are also people, after all, for a modern person. Something like this is too much. The lady just called the servants people. Irina is right. You can't have feelings for your subordinates, and where did Damien's gratitude go? What was the butler doing here anyway? Damien was afraid to let the young lady go to such a dangerous place without an escort. The county of Appin was very rich, so there were no subordinates, and since she was actually from the modern world, she had never seen servants either. If someone does not pay the ransom for them, they will live behind these bars their entire lives. There are commoners, prisoners of war, and other classes here. Since the young lady needed servants, the man prepared a first-class Category A product. This type is currently at the top of Larazi's blacklist. Is it possible that everyone present agrees with all this, and only one villain feels sorry for all these unfortunate people? This is the pride of their market, the highest-class servants at auction. Milady can take her time in her choice and just enjoy the view. This guy needs to have his psyche checked. The girl's heart immediately sank from what she saw, and she sympathized with each of the prisoners. This man is popular among noble ladies due to his pretty face, and will be an excellent accessory for a young lady's home. He is definitely sick, but this guy was once a knight in another country, so he has strength and endurance. Since he's a surviving POW, he's a bit rough around the edges. His tendons were cut, so he's not dangerous anymore, what bastards. This young and strong guy is the best for night service, he said. The subordinate is full of strength and energy, and besides, he will not be able to harm his mistress. What kind of night service is this? And what kind of red ribbon is this anyway? Damien heard correctly now. This slippery bastard offers the noble lady his body for pleasure. The merchant is so sorry. He misunderstood. He will show his subordinates to serve. No, they are leaving right now. Would Milady Larazi really just leave here like that? She didn't even know where she was being taken to begin with, so it would be easy. She doesn't need it at all. The villainess won't share their gaze. Then a male voice was heard in the dungeon. The former knight grabbed the iron bars and asked the young lady to take him with her. His body was as if hewn from a rock. It was all covered with deep scars. The poor guy had been through a lot. Those moon-colored eyes had seen so much pain, and the face, despite numerous battles and subjugation, was still incredibly beautiful. The villainess stared at the prisoner, mesmerized, his features chiseled. You could cut your finger on them. His hair is silver like morning dew. He is so handsome. Is it possible to be so handsome? This young man seems to glow or shine. Wow, Mrs. Larazi is drooling down her chin. The girl is very sorry, but she really does not need night service. The prisoner begs to take him away. Let the servant leave the bars. Here, the beautiful captive let out a painful roar. The magical shackles shocked him. What is this bastard doing? This servant has a harsh and stubborn character, and besides, he has been resold many times. So this thing requires re-education. I wish they could put this freak and the whole Appin family behind bars instead of him. She never treated people as material. The merchant is ready to show the really suitable goods. Could she just leave after what she had seen? There was so much torment in it, and how much more she still had to endure. If Larazi doesn't take him, then most likely the poor guy will end his existence right here. What will the young aristocrat say? She wants to look at the subordinates for service. They are in that wing. Larazi doesn't want anything, and in general she's already made up her mind she'll take a former prisoner of war with a bad character. The three of them simultaneously burst out asking what Milady Appin had just said. Damien knew it. His mistress had decided to acquire for herself a knight companion in red ribbons. What did he say? The butler is climbing to his death out of turn. And what do these red ribbons have to do with it? This young man was a knight, which guarantees his fighting skills, but first-class servants are expensive. And what next? She was reborn in the body of a rich woman, which means her house has a ton of money, so what's the problem then? The lady is right. The county of Appin is fabulously rich. The butler rolled his eyes. And what will Milady do if she has problems with her subordinates? After all, a servant cannot harm his master. The villainess has already decided everything, and the guards also need to rest and change, so she will take a second one. What is my lady doing? They came for the service staff, so hush. The butler and the maid exchanged doomed glances and followed the merchant in silence. The girl did not want to ignore the concerns of her assistants at all. They should know this. These people were asking for help so much, Larazi couldn't pass them by. If it had been Damien and Irina in their place, she would have chosen them. So she hopes for their understanding. Despite the appearance of Milady, she has a heart. What is for and what is wrong with her image? So Larazi has now become a friend for Damien. Let my lady think as she pleases. But he wouldn't want such a friend. What a bore. The villainess then chose two more subordinates from the lower class, a young girl and a child. First-class subordinates may be released depending on their abilities. Low-class servants are bought for pennies so that they serve their master for the rest of their days for free. These unfortunates live their entire lives in danger and pain, knowing nothing but utter darkness. No one would have wanted to buy out all four of these for a number of reasons, so Larazi took the poor guys. This is a work contract, thanks to which the servants will not be able to harm their new mistress immediately after signing it. If the subordinate gets out of control, the mistress can use the kneel command to suppress him. Apparently, this is some kind of spell. Let the knight quickly rise from the cold floor. All that remains for Madame Appin to do is to put her seal here, and by the way, if the servants escape, they will not be found. Now this is the seal of death. Some servants use it to commit suicide, so Milady had better hide it well. What the hell? So the girl's name is Larazi Appin, and what are the names of her new assistants? These people shouldn't be afraid of her. With Larazi by their side, they won't be in any danger anymore. The girl's name is Arya, and the little boy next to her is named Soho. The former lover of the ladies of the court gallantly took his mistress by the hand and asked her to give him a name. Now the young man belongs entirely to his mistress. He will do everything possible to satisfy her. Larazi has already said that she does not require such services, so let this heartthrob give his name. Is it really possible for him in that case? The subordinate's name is Lion. He will be happy to serve his lady. That's better. And the last assistant remained, a stern knight of the northern lands, a former prisoner of war. What is the name of the knight? Silver Eyes looked doomedly at the ground. Larazi's heart sank. She truly understands that this is incredibly difficult for all of them, so the young man can tell his name when he is ready. Why is Milady so kind to this servant? He is clearly her favorite, which is why these two are looking at her with displeasure. Damien doesn't understand what he's talking about, but Larazi knows firsthand what it's like to be alone in the whole world. To be a wounded child who only needs warmth and care. To be honest, the knight was sure that he would be punished for disobedience and insolence, but this girl was somehow different. She is not like all the knight's previous masters, and he wants to believe her. He will believe her for the last time. The prisoner knelt before his mistress. His name is Zion. He will be glad to serve her. Let the maid prepare the rooms for their guests. It will be done. This is their temporary home. And let the butler take care of the children's needs so that they have everything they need. The young lady is urgently summoned to his office by Count Epin. Maybe everything will work out, and the younger Mr. Lindell will be waiting for her there, but that doesn't bode well. The girl was so tired, and then these two, well, what they needed from her so urgently sounds like another problem. Let Damien and Irina take care of Zion, Arya, Soho, and Lion. She needs to settle some matters. And what does the Count want? To scold his daughter for the money spent, or for the fact that she bought servants without permission? Apparently something really important happened, and the little bastard is here too. Larazi had just returned to the county estate, what was so urgent that the Count wanted from her. The villain really hopes that the whole thing is that the negotiations are finally going in her favor. Larazi is really something. What is this brat talking about this time? Let him use more words. This girl just bought subordinates. One of them even arrived in magical shackles. Larazi, although a castle, is still half aristocratic. She cannot behave as she pleases. This is the new staff of Larazi. Let the father already tell this stupid thing that he is silent about. There is some truth in Lindel's words. Such a stunt could harm her reputation. There is nothing to lose there. So Larazi doesn't care at all. Another rumor won't change anything. It's a pathetic argument, just like them. The villain already said that in case of her failure, she would agree to a forced marriage, so what's the problem? What other marriage of convenience? What is this girl talking about? And why is the father silent again? That's all. Let Lindel go. Why should he leave? And not Larazi. Lindel is actually a legitimate son. Let the bastard get out of the slums. Get out of here, brat. The boy immediately lost all his arrogance. It's all Larazi's fault. Let him sleep with his eyes open. He's watching this scoundrel. Even a kindergarten group behaves much more maturely than this brat. Larazi was right. Some time ago, a diplomat from Aska secretly visited the imperial palace. How she managed to find out about such classified information? She simply studied their politics and economics. It's hard to believe, but Larazi's only hobby has always been causing trouble for others. And again, a very expected reaction, but a deal is a deal. Did the villain really succeed? Count Eppen agrees to give Larazi part of the advance. She can't believe her ears. A happy ending is already waiting for her. However, the girl is not allowed to play a public role in the trading business. This will be part of their deal. And the Count's servants will carefully monitor all of Larazi's actions. What a bastard. Thus, the Count refuses to publicly acknowledge her as his child. However, the pseudo-parent will be happy to benefit from Larazi's achievements. Let him do what he wants. Nothing can save the Count. Larazi only needs freedom, then they are finished. The villainess wants to burn out this damn family name and not publicly chain it to herself forever. And what is her dear Damien doing here? He was waiting for her. Why would he do this? He was so worried about her. Damien wasn't worried about Milady at all. That means he really likes her. Stop teasing her already. Well, that's it. Damien urgently needs to contact the senior priest of the temple, but why does the lady need a priest? One of his subordinates has an injured leg. He needs to be healed. He is just a servant. Larazi does not want to hear this. Caring for the weak is part of caring for those in power. Doesn't dear Damien agree? Let the young man not disappoint his mistress. She knows that he is sincere and noble, and agrees with everything. It was amazing to see such humanity and flight of words from Milady. Now he would see the flight of her fist into his jaw. But there is no guarantee that the temple will send a priest here for them. Healing a subordinate may seem shameful. And these guys are definitely serving in a church, somehow not very piously. And the butler is still silent about the fact that the mistress's favorite may not be worthy of such an honor. After all, they don't know anything about his past. About his sins, the merchant didn't tell them anything. Oh, so Damien is jealous of his lady for Zion? It's so sweet. The lady is incorrigible. Come on, let Damien admit it. He is jealous of Larazi towards Zion. This is mockery and abuse of his job authority. Maybe now she will call him Jealous Damien. He will tell the Count everything. It is so funny to make fun of him. Larazi was having so much fun. Let her jealous man come to her room later. Damien will quit and transfer from her. So, business is over for today. Larazi has won the negotiations with the Count and can breathe a sigh of relief. After all, her new life is about to begin. Now she can enjoy it. The lady called Zion. The butler blocked the knight's path with his hand. What kind of liberties are these? He should communicate with the hostess as expected. Zion is now Miss Appen's servant and must show her at least a little respect. These guys are butting heads again, and what do they have to fight about anyway? Stop being naughty there already. The girl is not going to force Zion to do anything, but asks him to show respect to others. The knight apologizes for being rude. It's okay, they're just getting to know each other. Very soon, a priest from the temple will arrive at the estate and begin treating Zion's leg. What? The young man didn't hear it now? The temple minister will treat the servant. It won't be easy to restore a torn tendon. No big deal. They will believe in the power of magic. Here the knight began to shake. Why was Milady Larazi doing all this? What was he talking about now? Then the lady heard Zion's prayer and responded, she saved him, and now she is trying to heal his leg. Why is a young aristocrat so kind to some former prisoner of war and current servant? This is unnatural because a girl is responsible for her people. Zion was sure that this girl from a noble family would treat him like a toy, just like other aristocrats did. But she is completely different. The knight has never met such girls before. If Zion's leg really heals, he might even be able to use his sword again. The former prisoner's cheeks immediately turned red, and the doors of Larazi's room swung open loudly. But Calix does not change his habits, apparently. The future Count Eppen never considered it necessary to learn to knock. And again that face, as if it had been hit with a hockey stick. What does he need this time? Larazi insisted that her subordinates be unchained, and now she brought them into her chambers for entertainment. This is pathetic even for Larazi. Why does everyone consider her some kind of glutton? According to the plot, she was actually a psychopath. And why did Calyx suddenly decide to bare his teeth again, to enter her private chambers again without an invitation? It's fitting that Larazi is behaving appropriately. There are already rumors throughout the estate that she has brought servants here. This is her new guard. Larazi calls a guard someone who doesn't even know how to behave in front of the owner. How dare this servant be so arrogant in front of an aristocrat? Get on your knees now. The expression on this beautiful hero's face became so menacing. Zion isn't going to kill this slug and cause them problems. The former prisoner seemed to sense his mistress's concern and immediately softened. He was sorry. He did not want to show disrespect. Come on, this guy knows how to surprise. Larazi already thought that Calyx would be carried out of here in bags. Let Zion wait with Damien at the entrance. My lady needs to talk to her relative. This squealing pig is nothing more than a suit of aristocratic clothes, and that's not even his merit. How dare he humiliate Larazi in front of her staff? It was as if Calyx had come here on purpose to declare that their mistress was nothing. As if the heir to the earldom did not take into account the blood of the House of Appen, this is absolutely not the case. Oh well. The older brother just wanted to sincerely warn her about her behavior. Her actions are reflected in the family. No one outside the house even knows about the existence of the illegitimate daughter of Count Eppin. She has always been alone in the whole world. And the whole world was always against her existence, persecuted her and caused only pain and suffering. Calyx always treasured his sister. What hypocrisy. But Larazi herself never felt the same way about her relatives. Let the heir understand well that the former girl they hounded is no longer there, and he will stop being hysterical with or without reason. As the head of the county of a great family, this does not suit him at all. It was just that the elder brother was worried that Larazi would be left behind by all the court nobility. What is he even talking about? Is this such a ridiculous apology or what? Is it all about Larazi's blood? She is an illegitimate child? It can't be, and Calyx is sure of it. Stop being sarcastic. Compared to the nobility, she has more weaknesses. The slightest mistake will make her a target for ridicule. And this is the only reason why the older brother was strict with her. There is a line between strictness and cruelty, and he crossed it a long time ago. In a pathetic attempt to justify his sadism, Calyx bullied a child who desperately wanted recognition from his family. He simply didn't know how to express his intentions correctly, of course. He couldn't find a better way. Well, Calyx will indeed be a worthy successor to their father, just as empty, rotten, and cruel. The elder brother really did make a mistake, he admits it. What? He drank fermented wine at dinner. Or maybe Calyx got hit hard on the head during training. She should call a doctor. No, just listening to Larazi now, he really realized that he had behaved incorrectly with her. He blamed everything on Larazi just because she was an illegitimate child, which is not what Calyx should have said to a real heroine. The one who so longed for love from her family, but did not receive it. They already broke and killed her, so belated regret is not enough. And why such a sudden change? Calyx never showed sympathy for her heroine. How annoying it is. If he's already going to be bad, then let him play it to the end and not try to sit on two chairs. Then the bedroom doors opened again. The mistress was fine. Zion heard some kind of animal roar. The knight is very sorry because it was because of him that rumors began to spread about his mistress, and he had to listen to accusations from his older brother. The power of the innocent face is activated. How can you resist? Is it legal to be so beautiful? Zion has nothing to worry about. The people in this estate have always hated the girl. So it's not his fault at all. On the contrary, it's she who should apologize for her reputation. As soon as the boy's leg heals, she will go her own way. Let Larazi be patient a little longer. And if it is convenient for the knight, let him call her Lady Larazi, and not mistress. She does not like it. In her world, master and mistress generally have a very indecent meaning between a man and a woman. And the young man loves cookies. Larazi adores them. He can eat them all the time. Zion took the warm cookie in his hands and smiled. This girl was so different. If such is the order, then from now on the young man will call his mistress Lady Larazi. That's wonderful. The knight knelt before the girl. He would do anything. That was encouraging. It's unlikely that Zion will actually have to guard the villainess, but he can tend the garden at the estate. May the blessing of the sun be upon young Milady Eppin. What the heck? Is this guy serving in the temple or recording rap? So the rumors about the girl were true, an extravagant and condescending lady. The priest put so much into his compliment that young Larazi did not even flinch from the minister's provocation. To heal a subordinate? That's hilarious. My lady can at least imagine how rare priests' healers are. Now there will be one less. The minister doesn't think he has enough sacred power for a simple servant. What a pompous freak. Larazi understands how difficult the service of the crown prince is, so they have prepared. The priest opened his mouth in shock and stared at the jewelry box. That would be enough. The glitter of the precious stones has already been imprinted on the pupils of the servant's eyes, so my lady considers this his consent. Let the servants show the way to this subordinate. Now it is clear why the local priests are not allowed to leave the temple. They will sell everything. Let this rap podcast go to the east wing of the estate. Larazi couldn't even imagine that the young man would be given such a terrible room. Perhaps the servants didn't listen to her well enough. We need to become independent faster and help the poor servants live a normal life. So this is the same servant who needs treatment, and this is definitely a priest. Larazi asked this several times. To use sacred power in such a backwater, what a greedy worm. Damien's move, the stone-faced youth opened the chest. Well, of course, the servant can cope with the injury anywhere. Zion is a former knight. They said his tendons were cut. Judging by these deep scars, we need to examine these parts of both of the young man's legs. What is Milady Larazi doing? Zion immediately blushed. No one had ever touched him like that before. Why did Madame Apin lift the young man's trouser leg to show the priest where to treat him? Damien cleared his throat in shock. Oh, apparently in this world it was forbidden to bare your ankle in public. The girl is very sorry. She didn't want to embarrass the young man with her actions. But apparently she did it very well. Sweat was pouring down Zion's face. The priest begins the healing, the great sun that will bless their world and create all that exists. May the sun bless this young man. For a high priest, this guy is so greedy. Should he be trusted with the health of a young man, although apparently his true faith is money? Great sun, here and now the temple minister offers his praise. The room is illuminated by a magical light. A bright light moved to the knight's wounds, and a magical mark appeared at the top, which Zion sensed. The young man carefully tried to move his leg as if this wrapper could at least help him a little. Can Zion get up? The young man slowly got up from the bed. His eyes immediately widened. His legs no longer hurt. The former prisoner can stand straight and confidently on both of his legs. It is a real miracle. This is the grace of the great sun, although it is all the merit of the priest, of course, as expected from the high priest. It was a shame that this peacock couldn't be held accountable for his charlatanism, but she was happy for Zion. Milady Larazi was very grateful to the priest for the miracle he had performed. Zion bowed. Today, the high priest is especially good. The assistant also noticed it, of course. The second assistant noticed it earlier. If Larazi continues to listen to this parade of hypocrisy, she will start shooting at her knees, and this will definitely not count in her karma. Zion didn't take his eyes off the girl. There was such gratitude in his eyes that it was impossible to fully convey in words. He doesn't need to say anything. Larazi is glad that walking doesn't cause such pain to Zion now. Miss Larazi must see the priests off quickly. Zion will go with them and not let her strangle them. May the road be pleasant and safe. May Lady Larazi call the priests at any time. So that's how it is. The bastards will happily leave the service of the crown to please their greed. And where does so much love for shiny things come from? The knight is immensely grateful to Miss Appin. He will never repay her debt, and he does not need to. The young man will serve his mistress faithfully and truly, and will do everything so that she does not regret her kindness. The girl's soul warms up when she sees such dedication in his eyes. It is such a strong and pleasant feeling. Let the young man not freeze there. The most delicious cookies are already waiting for them at the estate. Larazi loves them. As my Lady Appin wishes, Zion has such a brilliant posture, it was impossible to notice before. What the hell is Larazi doing? She really called the priests from the temple for some servant. This girl continues to disgrace their family. Someone needs to teach her a lesson. What with the maid's face, the younger gentleman has come to the lady. Sir Lyndall is waiting for my lady in the drawing room. The girl was very sorry, but they would have to postpone their tea party and let the maid invite Lyndall here. Today the girl secretly invited a priest to the estate, so this bastard might be able to provoke a huge scandal. How dare an illegitimate child meet his father in person? Let him vividly tell what they talked about. And Lyndall is really the worst. He has the intelligence of an offended and deprived child, although it is much more convenient that way. They talked about business, as Larazi can talk about business without an education, and even an education won't help Lyndall. This brat resembles a small chihuahua who does not see his own size and tries to bite the alibi. So the little one called doing business with Larazi stupid, but Count Epin is now doing business with her. So the second son thinks his dad is stupid and incapable of making decisions. What will the Count say about this? How dare this scoundrel communicate with the blood son of the Count? Up until this moment, Lindell let her get away with everything. And what will happen when the brat stops tolerating the villainous? Be careful, there will be no way back for this inferior scum. And Larazi always had such an oppressive aura. What she does, Lindell just wanted to scare her. Let the girl just wait. Then she will see how wrong she was in insulting Lindell. His arms and legs are shaking. The villainess's purple eyes immediately flashed. She burst into laughter. Let the frightened child quickly run away from here. The second brother immediately rushed to run. What was that? Larazi never dared to contradict him. What came over her? The maid immediately rushed to her mistress with concern. Everything was fine with Milady. The girl burst out laughing again. Isn't that funny? It's like a bacterium telling a bear to get out of its way. And what if the young gentleman decides to take revenge for the humiliation? This brat can only secretly provoke children's quarrels. Lindell can't even stand a simple dialogue with Larazi. He is cowardly and weak. But then the villainess was a little mistaken. This insignificant worm had really struck her from behind, and it was most inopportune. As a caring brother, Lindell spoke to his beloved sister about the fact that it was time for her to find a good and profitable match for herself. This will ruin all the girl's plans for her happily ever after. This bastard is climbing to his death out of turn. Those like Lindell may violate the terms of their agreement with the Count, which will have consequences for both parties to the agreement. But they don't know how everything will turn out, so their family must be prepared for any outcome. A brat is a corpse. Larazi can meet potential suitors. Gentlemen her age are already negotiating marriage. There is no point in delaying this, otherwise there may not be any suitors left, and Larazi has a different position than other aristocrats. Well, what will Larazi say about this? He is still a small, snotty boy and always will be. Lindell is right, just in case she should get to know the men her brother has chosen for her. Even if this introduction does not lead to an engagement, it is important to show that Larazi is in the marriage market. Lindell will be looking forward to it. He has selected only the best gentleman for his little sister. Well, if it's come this far, Larazi will show everyone that it was a huge mistake. Show begins. This is today's dish from the chef, Milady Appin. It is worth trying. Who called this grass a dish? Where is the meat? Where are the wonderful desserts? Where is everything that Larazi loves so much? The owner gave strict orders to all the servants to take care of Milady's nutrition, and he is already preparing her for childbirth. According to Count Epin, his daughter should have time to lose weight before dating, otherwise she would kill. Lindell also chose the most worthless and unbearable organisms with whom only he himself could compare. Larazi ate this tasteless salad. She is waiting for her well-deserved dessert. The lady is forbidden to eat sweets. She must take care of her figure and skin in order to please the gentlemen. This small and vile worm will pay in full, depriving the girl of sweets. This freak crossed the line. In a bright and cozy establishment, young heirs of noble houses sat at tables. Young people met and made useful connections for their future entry into high society. One of the select gentlemen began to wipe the cream off the villainess's face. He has spare fingers or something. There was just a sweet cream on Milady Larazi's soft and beautiful skin, but not as sweet as she was going to throw up. Let that slug come closer. Lady Appin looks so graceful and sweet today, and now let him look at her carefully. The swindler is a composer, Ramp Derman. She is so witty, he just loves it in girls, and also the wallets of their rich fathers. Larazi is much nicer than those rumors described her as. No, the villainess is much worse than they say about her. What is the beautiful lady looking at? An oblong object that will figure in her criminal case. Naturally, the brat picked out the most vile scum of them all. And together with Lindell himself, they are the best advertisement in support of loneliness. The wife must be subordinate to her husband, as well as her devoted wife, and she must give birth to at least 10 children. The charm of a woman is that she can make a man desire her. This slimy guy learned to talk from cheap tabloid novels or something. The second son of the House of Derman, a very notorious playboy in high society. Ramp is only the second son of a provincial nobleman, not from the central nobility. His only chance is marriage to an aristocrat, and Rump knows why hurricanes are given female names. When a man sees a charming flower, it is quite natural that he wants to pick it. Let him work on this in a psychologist's office. Here he appeared behind Larazi. What kind of deadly machine is this? Yes. Yes, Zion can kill with just one look. But the rich lady likes Ramp so much there's no chance at all. Let her choose the composer. Get out. The slippery boy must understand that Larazi has no intention of getting married. It's just a farce. She understands perfectly well the aspirations of this gigolo to find himself a rich wife and live a luxurious life, but here it is not the case. If Larazi leaves, her stepmother will be in a difficult situation. Her father's people will report everything to her. Since when did the Count's men start keeping an eye on the illegitimate and unwanted child? Very interesting. Ramp is behaving this way on purpose. He is also being watched, so let his friend in misfortune devote some time to him. Zion should kill this guy. Let him live for now. They can talk peacefully here for a while. That guy shouldn't touch Mrs. Eppin, no problem at all. It was all just the image he needed. And why is Ramp pretending to be a freak? He really is a good guy. And why did Larazi ruin her reputation so much? The girl isn't pretending. She's actually the worst of the worst. Ramp burst out laughing. The second son, who cannot surpass the first, always has a hard life. So he plays the villain. It's the easiest thing. Issues of inheritance have always been delicate, but in their family no one stands on ceremony with the younger heir. Ramp should not give up. If you work hard, then new opportunities will definitely appear. The world is changing. Larazi really thinks so, of course. It sounds very encouraging. Let Ramp just go his own way. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. From now on, the young man wants to become a friend to the villainess. He can call the girl by name. Well, their conversation was really bearable. And the villainess has no friends in this world, to be honest. Ramp will be the first, although no. First Damien, then Sion, and only after Ramp. They will become good friends. They agreed that he should not try to seduce her anymore. But he did succeed. No. It's time to get ready for business. You need to purchase goods for sale. The fastest way to do this is through the administrator. Have the maid tell Administrator Dawson that the girl needs to meet him. A commoner who graduated from a prestigious academy with honors and now serves as an administrator in the county of Appin. A man of principle, with a firm but flexible approach, he did not get along with the real Larazi. Embittered and disenfranchised, Larazi demanded money to maintain her image and antics, and Dawson was not kind to her. However, now the villain is in charge of her own business, and the administrator will treat this with understanding. Dawson is needed by Larazi. The administrator conveyed that his entire day is scheduled today, so he will not be able to see my lady. And tomorrow too, and the day after tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow he won't be able to. Sir Dawson conveyed that he himself will contact the lady when time arises. Apparently, he disliked the villain much more than he thought, and he indirectly refused her. The administrator's reaction is quite understandable and fair. The poor guy really suffered from the real Larazi. But it's okay, I'll have to see him in person. The maid stared at Madame in bewilderment. What brings Milady Appin here? She needs to meet Sir Dawson urgently and in person. But their master is so busy today, my lady knows this, and she is ready to wait. Larazi will be waiting for the administrator in the drawing room, and Miss Larazi will wait until Sir Dawson is free. Let the assistants tell him so. The lady has come this far just to meet Sir Dawson. Let Irene mind her own business. The girl yawned and rubbed her eyes. Was it really evening already? Sir Dawson was really that busy. Or maybe it was just who was looking for a meeting with the administrator. Sir Dawson was very busy. If we are talking about business, then the Count has already given the necessary orders. Dawson will find a suitable group to conduct trade. Miss has nothing to worry about. This won't do. Larazi won't allow the matter to be brushed aside as if it were insignificant. And only because the illegitimate daughter could not take the initiative in public, Sir Dawson was really busy for several days. The girl knows very well that her relationship with the managing administrator is very strained due to her own fault. But if Larazi had been a real child, would Dawson have avoided her then? He too was a commoner who had been neglected. And after what the young man experienced, he can communicate with Larazi in such a way that everything is not at all as the miss says. The administrator immediately cleared his throat. He was sorry. He didn't want to raise his voice at Milady Appin. The girl asks the young man for forgiveness for everything. She is truly sorry that she brought him so many problems. Larazi naively believed that expensive dresses would not boost her self-esteem. She wanted to use them to hide her low-class origins. The girl realizes how much she has complicated Dawson's life, perhaps even threatened his position in society. She is really very sorry, and at this point the miss suggests ending the small talk and moving on to business. Milady needs to get busy urgently, otherwise the appointed administrator has been busy all this time. Sir Dawson bowed his head humbly. Now they could work together. The administrator nodded. The girl put the documents on the table. Sir Dawson thought that all this was a rather useless exercise. The administrator may not be lying. He is not one of those for whom personal feelings interfere with work. This expense may be a waste for Count Appin, as it is a useless expendable commodity for Dawson. Well, that's great. Since the administrator thinks so, it means that now they can be snatched up cheaper. Well, in that case, you will need to purchase these goods for 10% of their market value. That's the whole point of the girl's business plan, what Miss Lorazzi just said. Very soon, the Great Silk Road, which runs through the Roman Empire, will be blocked. Due to the long-standing differences between the Roman Empire and the Aska Empire, a war will break out, and this will be their way out. This can't be, is this really reliable information? The girl would say that this information is extremely reliable, but where did Miss Lorazzi get it from? It would be most appropriate to say here that this was a guess from a well-informed source. The next day, Lorazzi and Dawson began working like crazy. What is all this for? The lady is simply taking revenge on him. It is impossible to do all this in just one day. Well, if the administrator had come immediately as soon as my lady called him, they would have had more time. But the young man had his own work, his duties to the county of Appin, and Lorazzi is forced to meet with different christenings every day because of her brother's intrigues. And Sir Dawson wants to say that he was busier than the girl. He really is sure of it. The lady is so angry, Dawson said he would do everything. Yeah, let him do everything as it should be. So the coolest administrator successfully concluded a contract. The interest rate was 10%. Dawson is really the best, and when the goods arrive, it will take a week to prepare. They agreed to teleport all the goods. Helena Company agrees to transfer the rights to use sea routes, and the goods will be shipped by this method. Dawson didn't forget to include a clause in the contract about a 100-fold increase, but let him not say that he didn't succeed. Not at all. The young man thought this figure was not big, so he increased it 1,000 times to avoid all the risks. How is this even possible? This guy is a Wall Street financial predator. The next day, the illegitimate daughter was again called to Count Appin's office. It would be great to see him less often. But in fact, the girl herself wanted to talk to the head of the county, so this was very opportune. The trade route is about to be closed. Lorazzi has already taken care of her goods and exports. All that remains is a small matter. The matchmaking was already over. My lady had seen so much trash. A little more and Lorazzi would have already started shooting back at them. Count Appin will be brief. And thank you for that. The newspaper talks about blocking the Silk Road and about the supply of weapons. Which is quite logical, because war is coming in the end, but there is nothing good about it. But for her, the parade of scum from Lindell is finally over. Now the girl is free, and will never see these freaks again. So when Lorazzi can leave here, when the Count starts selling consumables, we need to make sure that the profits are clearly distributed. After all, now business will go uphill, which means that Lorazzi has proven to everyone the truth of her words. She has fulfilled her part of the contract. Count Appin also intends to fulfill his part of their deal. He just smiled. How creepy. The head of the county learned that the goods had already been purchased. What the hell? The managing administrator has real talent. The father of the year just made it clear that she shouldn't be proud of herself just because her suspicions were confirmed. And so that she doesn't expect to lead the business, but her teeth will be sharper. What can I say? The collaboration between her and Dawson is truly impressive. No, from now on, all matters will be handled solely by the county administrator. As for Lorazzi herself, she must not stick her head out of her shadow. The rotten old man turned her life into hell, and now he's taking her achievements for himself. The abomination. The Count has nothing to worry about. Milady will make sure that the process is managed well from behind the scenes. Get out of this snake pit as soon as possible and never see this filth again. The butler called out to the girl. Damien led his mistress to her chambers. It's so sweet of the young man. He always waits for her like that. Miss Lorazzi is up to her old tricks again. Not at all. She's just glad to see her sweet Damien. That silhouette from behind seems so familiar to her. The girl has a very clear feeling that she has seen him somewhere before. Wait a minute. What is this? The heroine's consciousness once again transferred her to her memories. Irina called her mistress worriedly. Miss Lorazzi was feeling well. It was as if she had fallen somewhere. Her character's memory was too vague. She is grateful to Damien for seeing her off. Count Appin wanted to scold Milady for her blind dates. No, he shared that their business was flourishing. What a relief. The maid is so happy for her young mistress. The maid is so proud. Such an event will definitely need to be celebrated, although she is a little sad. Then let Irene follow her mistress. It is too difficult, and this is a consolation party for Milady from her. The maid prepared it in case the Count scolded the miss, but since everything was fine, it could be turned into a celebration. Come on, the girl will make Irina happy. She should just go with her. What does the maid think about this? The mistress promised not to put pressure on Irina, but it was worth trying. Then two people burst into the villainess's private chambers. They have a serious problem. What's wrong with Dawson's face? Seriously, Larazi hasn't even had a chance to try a single cake yet. Let Dawson speak first. Here's the thing, the crews that were transporting Milady's goods were attacked by monsters. What the hell, if anything happens to Larazi's business, then she can say goodbye to her freedom. The villainess asked in a steely voice how many carriages had suffered from the monster attack. 3 carriages with goods suffered serious damage. The administrator's hands began to shake. 3 whole carriages. The girl's face immediately turned white. Is it really that serious and irreversible? Wait a minute. Dawson only showed 3 carriages on his fingers, not 30. There is no forgiveness for the administrator. And how many carriages with goods were sent in total? 40 carriages. This is a huge loss. Stop whining. The young man did an excellent job. The escort must be of high quality and thorough. 3 carriages out of 40 is a good indicator. So Dawson's team coped well with the onslaught. There are casualties among the people. 6 knights were wounded. 15 people received minor wounds. What a relief. Dawson is a great guy. Just think, and this man was despised by Dawson. He is simply a non-entity. The lady is so noble and kind to everyone. However, there shouldn't be any monsters in those areas. There aren't even any wild birds there, and we managed to find out the reason for their attack. This is actually the first time that monsters have attacked there. Their numbers on the northern border between the Soneca Mountains and the Blessed Lands have increased. The Sonic Mountains and the Blessed Lands are connected, so everyone thinks that's what it is, but we need to check everything. This event was not in Larazi's memories. The Lands of Blessing were a place that was blessed by a deity. The forest remained lush throughout the year, brimming with mana and life force for 100 years. But after the sealing of the deity, even his soul dispersed, and this place became a dead forest with terrifying energy. Rumor has it that the temple and the forces of the great unfaithful Duke have the situation under control, but the number of monsters has increased dramatically. His people will send an expeditionary group to check everything. Then the villainess should not interfere in this matter. All victims should receive compensation, and all the help they need. Dawson shouldn't worry so much. He's a smart guy. The administrator beat his chest and blurted out that he would do everything possible to justify his mistress's kindness. Somehow it's too emotional. This guy turned out to be so devoted and responsive. What happened to Damien? They received a message from the Helena Trading Company. This already sounds quite serious, and what was said in the letter, well, that. Anyway, Helena Trading Group wanted to terminate their contract. What the hell? That can't happen. Now, the villainess's happy future has definitely been cut short without this trading group. Her business is finished. Why did Helena suddenly decide to terminate the contract with them? Are they really ready to pay a fine? Unfortunately, yes. Now that the Roman Empire has blocked the Silk Road, it is necessary at all costs to obtain rights to the sea route, so that the empire could trade freely with the Aska Empire. Of course, there is also a walking route, but it is quite dangerous. All the surrounding areas are teeming with monsters. And the constant teleportation of goods will cost too much. Don't they know that the fine is 1,000 times greater than the cost? Dawson doesn't understand. The port is far from the Aska Empire, but they still want to pay the fine, that's the point. Besides, Helena's trading guild owns other ports. There's no point in them taking such a risk, and Dawson met with the guildmaster. Not yet, but then the administrator will go there and try to cancel the decision. There is a problem here. Helena's guildmaster stated that he would only meet with the person directly responsible. This is disgusting. Why such complications? What did they even think up? Did Milady Appin really decide to visit the guildmaster? If the Count found out about this, he would be furious. Larazi knows this very well. Her father hates the thought of anyone finding out about her existence, but she will go secretly. Eventually, they need to sell the information to the Aska Empire's Department of Foreign Affairs. The girl herself will go first, and then contact Dawson, in which case Damien will go with the lady. Milady Larazi needs an escort, that's true, but Damien is such a grumbler. And in general, the butler does not look particularly intimidating for a person who claims to be an escort. In this case, Damien has no choice but to tell the Count about everything. The young man can always be relied upon. He is in business. Then they will meet later. This time Dawson will do everything perfectly without a single mistake. And now the maid, the girl has a job for Irina during her absence. It's simple. The maid will have to live in this room and pretend to be Larazi. What? It's too complicated. How is she supposed to eat as much as my lady? Her stomach will explode faster than she can be discovered. One cannot disagree with this. Irina will eat from everyone. The lady can rely on her. That's great. It's all about practice. Irina will succeed. She believes in it. Everything is ready. Dawson will join them when he finishes with the errand from the lady. Excellent. So Damien had already figured out how they could get in unnoticed. Larazi didn't even want to take him. And now she's asking about the plan. That is, the girl herself has no escape plan, no, but a promising start to their operation. The butler apologizes for his further actions, but he sees no other options. What for? As expected from sweet Damien, he always has a solution to any situation, so let's go. Milady wasn't even surprised that the young man froze. It was time for them to get out of here. Damien had prepared a ladder or a rope in advance. Wait a minute, what was this young man up to? He immediately covered Larazi's mouth with his hand. What the hell? Damien jumped off the balcony. The girl let out a frightened squeal right into the butler's glove. Larazi was 5 minutes closer to her death. They needed to be warned that they were about to become a mess on the ground. They managed to slip away unnoticed, but the girl's screams could have brought the guards running, and my lady also had leaves in her hair. It's okay. Picky Demir can live with this, and what should they do next? Why isn't the girl angry at Damien? Usually she doesn't like it when he takes liberties, but it's for their common cause. More precisely, this is all for the sake of Larazi herself, and in general, she once told the young man that she is no longer the same as she was before. Apparently, this was indeed the case, as the butler's cheeks immediately turned red. Damien usually looks quite cold and reserved, but when he smiles, he is so cute. The young man had called a carriage in advance, so he could head straight to the teleportation gate. Damien is the best. The butler, as always, did a great job, by the way. Why does he always help the villain? The young man's face immediately changed. Well, if his mistress doesn't remember anything, then it's okay. Why doesn't she remember the carriage has already arrived? Let Damien not change the subject. She is not the real Larazi and does not remember everything. The girl simply lives, imitating her. Going on a trip with your brother is so sweet and family-like, Larazi nudged Damien with her elbow. This was her first time going out with her beloved brother. That's right, my beloved brother, the villainess giggled. Something like that. They look so great and so similar. If young people are using the teleportation gate for the first time, it is better to do everything step by step. Dear Damien is listening. He will definitely quit. The teleportation gates will be activated soon. All travelers must prepare for the move. Wow, this gate is much bigger than the girl expected, and it's quite systematic. Here, the villainess was hit by a sharp wave of magic, and out of habit, Larazi was unable to stay on her feet. The girl almost fell, but the handsome hero managed to catch her in time and my lady was okay. What happened? The lady felt unwell. It was so funny, what? They would have to do this again. Larazi grabbed the boy by the hand and dragged him towards the gate like a teddy bear. The girl feels great. And why were they scared of the side effects after teleportation? Damien turned pale, and what was wrong with her brave escort? He looked somehow beaten. Did Damien the Terrible really get a stomachache from teleportation? Did this deadly machine get seasick? How so? Damien hopes that the lady's supply of sarcastic barbs has been exhausted. It's time for them to go. Soon Dawson joined Larazi and Damien, and now they could go to the Helena Trade Guild. Wow, and this all belongs to a trading house? This isn't even Helena's headquarters. That's right, because Helena's trading guild is the most successful in their empire, so it's unclear why they terminated the contract. They clearly didn't do this for the money. The guild is swimming in it. Welcome to Helena's house. Have the girl tell the guildmaster that those responsible for using Vale Harbor have arrived. The guildmaster knew that their delegation would arrive. The girl would lead them to the teleportation gate. Why would she do that? If this is too much for sweet and sensitive Damien, they can take the stairs. Why does the girl whisper in Damien's ear for a more expressive effect? Activating the teleportation process. Wait a minute. The guys wanted to walk up the stairs. The villainess immediately closed her eyes. Although she had no side effects, it was still scary. Larazi opened her eyes a couple of seconds later and was already standing in the tight embrace of her handsome butler. Milady Larazi said something. Dawson's eyes immediately widened. Damien was so scared that he grabbed her. What? It's all madam. Nothing of the sort. They weren't hugging at all. Dawson understood. The girl led the guests through the east wing. A delegation came to see her milord regarding the Vale Harbor. Let the travelers pass. The lord knew they would arrive soon. Welcome. The guildmaster was expecting people on the issue of Vale Harbor a little earlier. Apparently their path is complicated. So the Helena Trading Guild is a family business, the head of the family is the head of the company. The new leader turned out to be incredibly tenacious, just like his predecessor, his mother. But in appearance he is the most ordinary hero from the novel. Although his face is more impudent, even his assistant looks brighter than him. It felt like the girl had already seen him somewhere, and so the guildmaster was waiting for her. What does Milady think of this tea? She liked it. Damien threw up twice there, not because of the tea. No matter how big Helena's company is, the fine is still too much, so why is Larazi here? If the leader of a trading group wants something, let him say it directly. The young guildmaster looked at his interlocutor with interest, and the rumors about the miss turned out to be false. The head of the company is glad that he can be frank with his guest. So the Eppin family has already received an offer from the Empire. What kind of nonsense is this guy talking about? The items acquired by the county had not previously attracted any interest, but suddenly they became material for making weapons. So that's the thing, Helena Trading Group probably received such an offer too. The proposal was to ensure supplies, as the county had bought up most of the stock. So it's only natural that the guildmaster is worried about this. My lady understood him so quickly. So she was invited here under the pretext of terminating her contract due to pressure from the Empire. Larazi didn't miss anything. It's all partly true, but not entirely, which means the guildmaster decided to play with words. Steel flashed in the villainess's eyes. She values her time and the time of her people, unlike him, so Larazi will finish this. The young man got a little carried away. The Empire does not put pressure on the guild. He invited the lady because of the supplies. Then why present everything differently? The guildmaster has no particular reason, that is, he was simply curious, and this whole circus is to satisfy him. Well, if someone is standing in the way of the head of a trading group, then it's worth getting to know him better. To use an aristocrat so trivially, while knowing in advance what will follow, it is not for nothing that he leads the leading guild. However, this attitude still irritates the girl. She will be better at playing words. Let Dawson bring their contract. Since the guildmaster tried to break their contract without any reason, he was probably already prepared for the consequences. Milady should not get so excited. Let her listen to him first. Let the talker pay her compensation. The chief asks for forgiveness. They will give her a haven. Larazi hit the table. There is no point in his chatter if the words have no meaning and value. Let the boy look here. The amount of compensation exceeds the value of their transaction by 1,000 times. The guildmaster's assistant stared at the contract in shock. Did the guys even read what they were signing? And Miss Larazi thought that this was a serious organization. It wasn't even written in small print in the contract. It's all a lie, a fraud. It was signed by her employer, and even notarized. Why is the boy even getting involved? There's no need to put so much pressure on his boss. And anyway, the lady needed his peer in the first place, and with her compensation, Larazi will buy 5 of them for herself. The guildmaster intended to acquire these materials, but Count Eppin was faster than them, and it was too late. The fact is that the Empire entered into 2 identical contracts with Count Eppin and the Helena Guild in order to later collect penalties for the resulting shortage of supplies, but to call someone under the guise of terminating the contract is rude and unprofessional. The guildmaster recognizes this, and so offers Lady Larazi a lucrative deal. The head of the trading group extended his hand to his business partner. The villainess listened to him attentively. So they renegotiated the original contract, and it turned out to be much simpler than expected. Extension of the harbor use period for 6 months, plus the purchase of colored stones and oak branches at the highest market price. The previous girl always groveled, could not solve her problems, but reincarnation gave her a second chance. In essence, she is now forming her personality anew, becoming who she always wanted to be. The deal is done, all the papers are signed, it's time for them to return to the estate. The guys fell asleep there or something. It's time for the boys to get going so they can get back to the county before dark. Then the door opened, and the girl was practically blinded by Damien's inhuman beauty. Broad chest, sculpted abs, he's like a perfect piece of marble, simply incredible. To see such unearthly perfection is simply fantastic. Larazi forgot how to breathe. Why did the lady freeze and remain silent? Damien looks so good in this way. She is thinking about changing his work uniform to something like this. Did she say it out loud? Let my lady pull herself together. His hands would suit Larazi better. The administrator came to hurry the young lady. It was time for them to move out. Well, why did Damien stand up? Let him take her in his arms. She, of course, felt his power, but still did not expect such relief under his shirt. The butler stared at his lady in bewilderment, wondering who had carried the girl out of the estate. This is the one who should bring Milady Larazi back, so let Damien grab her already. Lorazi will do everything herself. The girl in one jump found herself in his arms, where the lady picked it up. Does dear Damien really mean to say that Lorazi is now behaving unworthy of a noble lady, but she is an illegitimate child? So she can. There is no need to exaggerate everything, but she could do with some nobility, that's true. Let the girl hold on to Damien tighter. She doesn't need to be asked twice. Lorazi hugged Damien's strong body with a satisfied smile. Such a pleasant warmth emanating from him. They're back. Maybe they'll jump around like this again. A woman's squeal was heard. Finally, Milady has returned. Irina immediately rushed to meet her mistress. The miss was not injured. Well, well, the villainess was only away from the estate for a day, so was the maid really that bored? Irene was so scared and lonely. The maid started sniffling and blowing her nose. Damien would go better. Young gentlemen were constantly passing here. Calyx was quietly terrifying, and Lindell was screaming. The villainess will now try to guess. These two came here to start a scandal. The maid did a great job with everything. Let her take this bag for her efforts. This is her vacation pay, but there is so much here. Irina tried very hard to help Lorazi. She appreciates it. So let the maid go and have a good rest with her family. Irina burst into tears. The maid clenched her fists in defiance of her mistress's suggestion that she had voiced earlier. So the maid has already made a decision, that's right. Irina wants to go with her ladyship. The villainess is very happy to hear this. She will not betray Irina's trust. The assistant is so grateful that my lady gave her time to rest. She needs it so much. The girl moved to the celestial space. This place, she had already been here. Lorazi began to look around and search for him. Asmodeus should be here. A strong but soft voice was heard behind the girl. They hadn't seen each other for a long time. Asmodeus is a former office worker from South Korea, and the same one from which she ended up in the body of Loraci Appin. After her last conversation with Asmodeus, the girl saw the light and was transported into the world of a romantic novel. The villain is interested in something. The empire in her novel is called Asmodeus, and his name is Asmodeus. There is clearly a connection here. The girl assumes that Asmodeus is a deity. Partly yes, partly no. In fact, this is a very long and complicated story, and Asmodeus cannot stay here for long. But in that case, when will the girl be able to meet Asmodeus again? When the white winter has passed and the green spring has come, let Lorazi come to Adelbark. And then Asmodeus will be able to explain everything to the girl, tell her what needs to be done. He will wait for their next meeting. And one more thing, when the villainess goes to the northern lands, she must be more careful. Lorazi must be wary of the youth with hair as black as night and eyes as red as blood. Can you tell me more about this? Is this character dangerous for the villain or something? Well, it's always like this one short phrase that only gives rise to a lot of questions. The girl rose from her bed. She would remember this image well, the tar-black hair and ruby eyes. There was a knock at Milady Lorazi's room. Count Appin wants to see her in his office. She will come soon. Dawson came out of the Count's office with a pile of papers. He was so confused. What was the matter? The administrator was there to report on the progress of their business, and the county chief was quite surprised. And also, come on, why is Dawson so excited? Let him post it already. Well, Count Appin also praised the young man very much. That's great. Why is the guy upset then? That is to say, how is that? But everything turned out this way precisely thanks to the efforts of Milady Lorazi, and not his. And what's wrong with that? They worked together on a common cause. Dawson did no less, so he deserves praise. Besides, the most important thing for a girl is to gain her independence. Dawson hit himself in the chest. From now on, he would always be on my lady's side, no matter what happened. The lady is here to meet the Count, that's right, and he certainly won't be so kind to her. The county chief has heard that business is booming. Sir Dawson is a real phenomenon, that's true. It's a disgusting sight. The Count is disgusted by the fact that Lorazi is his daughter, but he happily receives benefits that are only her merit. And every time he demands that she stay out of the spotlight, this house is home to the most disgusting scum of society. When winter comes, Loracy will come of age and plans to become completely independent. That is, the girl plans to leave here next year. And what kind of silence is this for the Count? His daughter was always just a cheap and expendable commodity on the marriage market. Lorazi has already decided where she will go after she comes of age. Not yet. It's difficult. It is absolutely certain that this place will be far away, where no one knows her. There will be only people close to her. Lorazi wants to start from scratch. The villainess would very much like to take Damien with her, but will he leave the Epin estate with all his devotion to her? Still, the young man is a man of duty and honor. Lorazi can go. A very meaningful conversation, and why was it necessary to call her early in the morning? The staff set the table in the dining room. All the dishes smelled simply amazing. As much as you can eat, Larazi will soon become an adult, which means it's time for her debut. The parasite will need to show herself in high society and find a good match. So Larazi has to go on diets, take care of herself and her manners. And where did the Countess lose the result of all this work? How dare an illegitimate daughter be so rude to her mother? Lindell jumps the queue for her own death again. The villainess bared her teeth after all. No one had intentionally taught her manners, so what right did the Countess have to ask about them? The girl herself has completely different plans for life, and showing herself off in high society is not part of them. How dare the bastard say such a thing? She can't have her own plans. Let her son eat, otherwise the food will get cold. Despite her lowliness, Larazi is a member of the Earl's family and is obliged to serve them next week. There will be tea at Lady Amon's. And Larazi must be ready. The Count will remain silent, then the girl herself will destroy his wife's plans. The head of the county has an agreement with Larazi. She will not show herself in high society, which her husband just blurted out. It was he who brought into their home an illegitimate child with no education, turning the Countess into the likeness of a pitiful wife. And now the whole world will gossip that she is an evil stepmother who does not let her stepdaughter, a commoner, out into the world. The Countess will never let her down. She must repay them for the house and food. She must serve her interests. The villainess said in a steely voice that she would come to the tea party after all. Her stepmother had tried so hard. But this will be a one-time action in the future. The girl does not intend to participate in parades of hypocrisy. The Countess knows that at such tea parties they will point fingers at Count Epin's illegitimate daughter. That's the whole point. Let his wife stop screaming. Larazi will leave them soon anyway. The whole rotten trinity stared at the Count in shock. Larazi will become independent. Business is on the rise. How can an unmarried aristocrat walk around on her own? And what business? Larazi is not educated. The head of the county has said enough, and now let them give Larazi time to prepare for tea and peace. This is how, step by step, the villain rewrote her history and where it will lead her. If the girl stays in this rotting pit for a little longer, she will definitely vomit. The Count's first son looked at Larazi carefully to see if this was all true. Finally, the villainess managed to get out of there. Even the air is different here, Calyx's voice was heard. Larazi really does plan to leave them, yes, so let them order fireworks. What is she thinking about? Young and unmarried lady, isn't it obvious about getting out of this dump as quickly as possible? The girl has many reasons to leave this hole. If the heir Epin gives her another reason, then she will stay. Why? That is, after 18 years, the guy deigned to do something good so as not to worry about the shame for his family name on the outside. To lock Larazi here forever and continue to poison her until she no longer wants to leave the life that is unbearable because of them all, and not the house. Calyx has never been noble and kind, so don't even start. That's not his personality type. The old Larazi would have confused the Count and Calyx's fear for Epin's reputation with concern for her. The two hoped that the girl, as always, would do everything to gain their favor, but alas. After a short rest, the maid literally sang and fluttered. It was nice to see her like this. The lady was doing well during the maid's absence. Well, how can I say? The villainess met with the deity, who again did not give her any answers. The Countess went completely mad from the Count's refusal. Calyx keeps pecking at her stepsister and calls for prudence. Nothing special, everything is as usual, so the assistant has nothing to worry about. As for Irina, the girl managed to enjoy her short vacation to the fullest. Thanks to her ladyship, Irene was able to create some last happy memories with her family. That is, how is this the last thing that the assistant says? Irina's mother suffered from a chronic illness, and recently her condition worsened. Thanks to Larazi, they gave her a decent send-off. Larazi didn't know anything about this. She was nearby, like Irina now. She needed something. There is no need to pity the maid. With the help of her lady, she got good medicine. The maid is so happy that she met such a wonderful person as the mistress. How hard it is for this poor girl now. And what about the other members of her family? Irina has 2 younger brothers. They are twins, both such rascals. They will soon be 13. We will have to send them to the academy. But this is a boarding school. Irina will miss them. She rarely sees them anyway. And where does she plan to send her rascals? The boys need to become independent, so off to Philip's academy in the northern lands. The villainess was struck as if by lightning. The northern lands. It was in the north that Larazi was killed. So the girl needs to avoid everything connected with the north, which is why Irina chose this particular place. In the north, the line between commoners and aristocrats is not so clear, and tuition fees are lower. Because of the harsh conditions, everyone is hired to work there. the conditions there are really better than in the capital. The villainess will have to take good care of her assistant. In the end, the goal of escaping from Appin County and becoming independent is to never see the rotten Appin family again. And in this case, it would be best to move as far away from the capital as possible. Well, the villain influences her ending. She has nothing to fear, and it will be much easier for Irene. So it was decided that they would go with an assistant to the northern lands. The maid will have the opportunity to see her brothers. Larazi will increase her salary. The boys need to be fed and clothed. The maid loves her mistress so much, she is the best. So the main rule, to avoid the north at all costs, quickly faded away. The girl was reading another book and felt a close gaze on her. Larazi immediately turned to look at her handsome bodyguard. However, the knight managed to turn his head in the other direction in time, after which the young man again turned his scrutinizing gaze to Milady. His gaze could burn a hole in her head. Unable to concentrate on reading, the girl slammed the book shut. Something was bothering Zion. The knight immediately took a step back. Zion wants to say something to Larazi. She sees that he is watching her. Nothing of the sort. Everything is fine. Let the young man just share with her. The former prisoner's cheeks immediately turned red. The thing is, Zion can tell her everything. Zion still can't believe that he's here, that he's standing now without feeling pain in his legs. To be honest, the young man was sure that he would spend his whole life chained up in a damp and cold basement. Living in the modern world, she can't even imagine how unbearable his life was. And there are no words that could fill this void, and Zion loves to read books. When the young man was a knight, he loved to read, but when he became a servant, such an opportunity did not present itself. No more hard memories. Let Zion create new and pleasant ones. From now on, they will look for something that will please the young man. This book is a love story. Maybe Zion has some preferences in reading. He would like to read what the lady likes to read. In that case, let the knight sit back and enjoy reading while eating cookies. These eyes can make you sign over your apartment and car to him, unearthly and pure beauty. Zion is so sincere, he looks like a happy puppy, so cute. They will have a great time, romance novels, hot tea, cookies, what a dream. Then the maid burst through the door. Why didn't the mistress tell her about tea drinking? It's so important. This is Milady's first debut in high society, and that's why they stuff her with nothing but weeds. Yeah, right? This is the last dress catalog. This is a one-time promotion, no outfits. And here is a healthy dietary salad. It sounds very tasteless. The maids were ordered to give the lady spa treatments to make her skin velvety, even if they didn't think about it. Stop dragging the villainess only leaves, she wants meat. Otherwise soon she will be hunting them like a wild predator. What can you do? Without meat, the girl really goes wild. After all these herbal diets, the taste of meat is just incredible. Soft pieces leave such a pleasant aftertaste. You need to bring a full set of accessories. This shade of blush does not suit the lady's color type at all. It would be better to curl your hair and put it up. Why is this happening again? Larazi has already changed her clothes 10 times this morning. The girl wants to wear something simple. What is their mistress even talking about? The best young ladies of the capital are gathering at today's event. The Countess specifically asked to be reminded of this. The first impression is the most important. Irina wants everyone to remember Miss as the kindest and most wonderful person. Well, if that's really the case, then Larazi can be patient. And in general, Milady Larazi should knock down all the men there on the spot. Where did Irina pick this up from? Countess Eppin stood at the luxurious gates, nervously fanning herself. She even has an appearance that you don't want to see anymore, but really, it was worth it. Today's preparation took a full 6 hours, enough to conquer a small village. But no, those hours were spent on styling my hair, choosing shoes, tightening the damn corset. But Larazi looks simply wonderful, as if she were a thoroughbred and purebred aristocrat. So today, no rudeness, according to legend, Larazi will soon leave the capital to take care of his health. Of course, the Countess immediately came up with a story to whitewash her reputation and incur the wrath of high society. You just have to endure this day, then everything will be over. Countess Eppin and her stepdaughter have arrived. Yes, guys, no one will forget this debut in high society. A tea party hosted by Countess Aemon, a dear friend of Countess Appin. The villain needs to somehow escape from this snake pit. Hiding here is not possible. Thanks to the Countess's grace, her stepdaughter received a place of honor. The Countess has such a kind heart. How could she accept a child out of wedlock? Her tolerance is simply amazing. Absolutely right. A lady would never do something like that in her life. These ladies are serious now. At first, Larazi's stepmother was so depressed, but in the end, she's just an innocent child. What a pathetic hypocrite. At the moment when the Countess decided to accept the girl into her family, she was already enchanted by her bright and innocent eyes. This rotten spawn poisoned the girl, inciting her sons and the entire staff to do the same, instilling in them that Larazi was a worthless piece of work. Everyone knows that the illegitimate daughter of Count Epin was met with disgust by his family, and now the very figure of their gossip is before the vultures. There is simply no better prey to be found in this girl's place. The lady would have thanked Countess Appin for her mercy for the rest of her life. The girl would like to become such a good mother. The young miss will certainly become a mother much better than the elder Mrs. Appin. All these empty and rotten girls are not really trying to praise the Countess. Their main goal is to hurt Larazi. A real villainess would now pour hot tea over each of these ladies and make them regret what they said. But the current Larazi doesn't care about these scum. Countess Apina has become a real savior for Larazi. Let the ladies think as they see fit. Miss Larazi has finally spoken to them. And they may regret it very much. You shouldn't try to bite the one that can tear them apart. These pathetic creatures never took a second to talk about themselves and their achievements. They are worthless, trying to elevate themselves by putting others down. Larazi always admired her stepmother. She had so many different qualities. What does the stepdaughter say? What is she up to? She is playing her role. Isn't this why they called this girl here, to put a false image of a benefactor on this rotten lady? The hostess of the tea party wanted to thank everyone once again for the ladies attending her event. Finally, it's all over. Larazi will ask to bring the carriage. The stepdaughter, apparently, is not aware. After these words, the second part of the event will soon begin. Damn it. During the first part of the tea party, the same conversations were heard in a circle. What was the point in the second? Why is this happening to the villain? She was a good person in her past life. Why? Then the tea party was divided into a ladies' section and a ladies' section. All the young ladies were taken to the garden. Countess Amon's plants are simply magnificent. Of course, no one communicated with the villainess, which definitely made her happy. And where did Countess Epin's stepdaughter live before Count Epin brought the girl to the palace? All the girls are so interested. Miss Larazi lived in a dangerous and stinking slum. Larazi is a commoner. The lady heard that commoners do not wash at all. How disgusting. Larazi experienced both lives and could definitely feel the colossal difference. Well, here it goes. All these vile girls are just dust that will disappear with the first breath of real wind, Larazi. Of course, Larazi won't drag their faces into the mud to show them where their true place is. However, there is something she can do to rein in this cowardly pack. Larazi will strike first, but she will strike gracefully and effectively. These ladies are going too far. Wait, what is this stepdaughter of Countess Erin doing? The ladies didn't bully her or offend her. Apparently, Larazi is trying to make the young ladies look bad simply because they were curious. The girls have absolutely no idea who they're dealing with, but oh well, maybe the villain will have a little fun. Let this dirt feel everything that the former Korean worker experienced. How much can you poke at its origin? Where did all this rot and stench come from in these young girls? After all, Larazi asked them to stop. What the hell? Let Miss Erin calm down. These ladies are so unfair. Did she choose who she would be born as? The girls just asked about commoners. Let Cindy shut her mouth. She doesn't see that she's making things worse. The young ladies were joined in the garden by the older ladies, and it was as if a steamer siren was roaring. The older generation began to surround the young debutantes, and that's great. Everyone is finally here. The ladies simply asked Miss Larazi a few questions, and she began to cry without stopping. They did not know what to do with her. The hostess of the tea party intervened in the conversation. All these words of the young ladies are true. Everything is so. These girls asked the stepdaughter of Countess Epin about the commoners, asked if Larazi was afraid. Countess Amon immediately motioned to the young debutantes to close their mouths immediately she had heard enough. Mrs. Amon is so disappointed, unfortunately. Along with blood, nobility, and manners cannot be conveyed. Larazi asks not to scold the girls. It's all because of her. As the ladies said, she doesn't know her place. A commoner attended an event for noble ladies, insulting them all with her very presence. Larazi is to blame for being born. It is not the fault of these girls. The tea party host immediately swallowed. Since she was responsible for this reception, it was entirely her fault. So Countess Amon suggests that they cover up each other's shortcomings. Then Larazi suggests ending this reception. This is how you get your way in this novel, and the villain is just getting started. Well, this tea party was really quite tolerable. Larazi had fun there. The entire way back, the stepmother glared at Larazi with a furious expression and nervously waved her fan. This face. It was worth this whole concert. Did the stepdaughter really need all this? Countess Eppin knows perfectly well that the girl was only pretending to be offended and humiliated. Well, it's better this way than sticking forks into them and dunking these girls in the dirt to show them their true place. Unlike the stepmother herself, her stepdaughter does not denigrate others, but acts directly and openly. It was necessary to come up with something smarter, since Larazi has not been a child for a long time. What is this woman talking about? How can an illegitimate child do something smart? Again, this girl continues, Larazi hasn't even started yet, and the Countess can no longer bear the weight of her words. If open provocation and publicity had not worked, the villainess would have destroyed these hyenas morally. But very soon, Larazi will leave this snake pit, so there is no need for her to delve into all this squabble. The girl's eyes are swollen and sore. The villainess squeezed out so many tears during the tea party. The side effects should have been thought about before this dam burst. But even with dumpling eyes, Larazi is still charming. She should remember that. She is always a cutie. Damn it, what happened to the lady's eyes? She urgently needs a cold compress. Apparently she's not always a cutie. Is it really that bad? Just think, my eyes are a little swollen. A pleasant male voice was heard behind her. Was Milady really crying? Larazi jumped up in fright. Damien scared her so much. Why was he sneaking up on her? The young man gently touched her face. What is he doing? Something happened. Someone offended Larazi. Her heart began to beat treacherously. Damien has this effect on her. Is it really that obvious that Milady was beaten up by a group of mercenaries? What a bastard. Let Damien give her more space. Her heart is too reactive to him. Milady leaves the estate with a stern look, but during tea she allows herself to be trampled by someone. No, not at all. The villain just made a scene yesterday. Nothing like that happened. Since the lady says that she is fine, that is enough for Damien. There was a pleasant sound. What is this? The seller of Helena's group is calling. Let the crystal ball connect Larazi with the representative of the Merchant Guild. And what happened to Miss Larazi's eyes was none of his business. And where was the guild master? The chief was away now. The maid said that Sir Dawson had also arrived and that the administrator should come into the room. Your lady was beaten up yesterday at a tea party. Dawson will immediately call the guards. They will be put behind bars. If anyone else says one word about Larazi's eyes, she will bite their head off. Dawson and the assistant swallowed nervously. Damien remained unperturbed. Irina will now make a mask for Milady's eyes. It's a cooling eye mask and the blanket regulates the temperature, which is nice. The goods were sold as agreed, at a price exceeding the market by 1,000 times. Helena Company is the best in the world. What a modest guy. The sales team did a good job, and that's all. The assistant did a great job. That's not all. The assistant guildmaster learned that Miss Larazi was leaving the county of Appin. What? Damien and Dawson immediately turned to look at Larazi when she decided this. And as soon as the trade guild found out about this, that's right, the girl will soon leave this estate. But for what reason? Where and when was my lady going to leave? Why didn't she say anything? Somewhere far away, probably to the north, Larazi will no longer endure the persecution of rotten relatives. Larazi will be coming of age soon, so it's the perfect time for independence. It will be better this way. If the villainess remains, then soon she will be sold as a commodity to some profitable suitor. And the girl wants to live freely and happily. She wants to be a young and rich stranger. Since the lady believes that there is more freedom in the north than in the capital, Damien believes in her success. So dear Damien doesn't object. How can he object? It's his mistress's decision. And my lady is already ready to leave. Well, she has already found herself staff. All that remains is to decide where she will live. Larazi apologizes that all this is so sudden, but that doesn't mean they will never see each other again. If her boys need anything, just let them tell her. They will help the lady with the move. Is it true? Well, no one forced Dawson to say it. We need to ask Helena to scout out the northern residences. The final settlement must be made when the goods are sold, and the lady was expecting these words, wasn't she? Damien and Irina will have to check the residences on site. That's all for today. Let the boys take good care of their milady. It's time for the lady to wake up. Damien is already here. Night Scion too. Let her sleep for another 5 minutes. But the gentlemen are already waiting for the lady in the guest room. She needs to get ready quickly. Where did Milady Larazi go? She needs to at least put on her pajamas, as the maid says. The girl yawned. These guys will wait for her like this for an eternity. The butler's cheeks immediately turned red. There was no need to rush. Let my lady get dressed first. Zion covered his mouth with his hand and didn't know where to put his eyes. How can a noble lady behave like this? I mean, a nightgown is also considered indecent here or something. Well, Irina, as a girl, should understand that sometimes you want to dress lightly or not dress at all. The whole trio immediately hissed at the villainess. Why were they so frightening? That's it, she understood. She can't go out naked. The Count agreed. They could look at the residence that Helena's company had selected. The new house will be the foundation of a happy life for Lorazi. She can't wait. What's wrong with the guys? The villain is feeling just fine. All three of them could barely contain their urge to vomit. Teleportation was clearly not the transport for them. Let the guys stay here and come to their senses. The girl will inspect the potential residence herself. The maid will never let her mistress go alone. It is so important. The maid staggered. She still didn't feel well. Lorazi immediately caught her. She had better sit down. The former prisoner stared at his lady in bewilderment. What? Why did Damien go after Milady? She told him to rest. He was already feeling better and his stomach knew about it. Thanks to the report from the trade guild, the relocation process began to move much faster. The man was sorry to disappoint Miss Lorazi, but the Duke of Carlmit had just acquired the mansion yesterday. The Grand Duke Carlmit, the most famous man in the north, is known for his severity, and it is he who alone lives Lorazi, which was then absorbed by dark magic. Among all of them, it is her executioner. Lorazi knows this guy. She mustn't get involved with this duke. Let the realtor show my lady another mansion. This was not the original design, but this residence is perfect for starting a happy life. The blue roof resembles the sky. Fragrant roses bloom throughout the garden, and fig trees are all around. It's just the perfect place to be reborn in another world. It's really so cute here, I can stop looking for a new home. Well, where should the future owner of the dream residence sign? It's a pleasure to deal with, milady. Now, put your hands on the table right now. No full amount, only half of the deposit is made first. What a bore. And only after it is reasonable to contribute the second sum of money, the lady will so easily become a victim of scammers. What is amiss thinking about? Who is going to become independent and take responsibility for others? Yes, she understood everything. Well, the villainess hopes that these were the only hitches on the way to her dream. It's so exciting. An independent and luxurious life is already within her reach. So preparations for a new life in the romantic novel went quite smoothly and quickly. The wonderful Damien helped Lorazi prepare everything necessary for the arrangement of the residence. Irina had been transporting the new staff to the northern residence for their training since early morning. The business had become a modest success. Everything seemed to be as if freedom had finally arrived. Lorazi had gone out of her mind. But these scum continued to interfere in her affairs. The girl hired servants and even healed the legs of one of them. Let this filth take care of its snake pit. Lorazi is almost independent and has no more to do with them. Because of Lorazi, rumors will spread. She doesn't care. With her independence, rumors won't go away. Doesn't this impudent girl understand at all that her actions are disgracing the Epin family? In that case, let the relatives cross Lorazi out of the family tree, then they won't have to worry. A deafening silence fell over the dining hall, and what expulsion is not something that is decided upon lightly. Lorazi must be wary of such rash actions, for she does have the blood of the Epin family in her veins. How dare an illegitimate daughter even touch on the topic of expulsion first? Let the wife calm down. Why does the Countess always call Lorazi not by name, but by an illegitimate child? She hears it, and isn't his wife right? These rotten characters squabble over every little thing. Lindell bared his teeth. It's all Lorazi's fault. It's all the fault of this filthy half-breed. Someone like Lorazi deserves to be banished. Let her go away. Actually, it was Lindell's fault. He spread rumors about his subordinates, both son and mother, being pathetic and vile. The Earl of Arran's first son ordered everyone present to shut their mouths and pull themselves together in a steely voice. The entire staff is now looking at the representatives of the Arran clan. The three of them immediately put on fake smiles and started encouraging each other. What a disgusting thing. So the Countess is not the biological mother, but she is still the guardian, and such behavior is rude to the guardian. So what? The Countess always said that Lorazi couldn't have upbringing and manners, so why should she suddenly expect them? Enough of this sarcasm. The villain really feels sorry for that pathetic woman who said that. For Lorazi, the Count is a bad father and example, but for the Countess, he is a traitor and the one who humiliated her so. And the girl herself is a reminder of her husband's sin, and it is quite natural that the Countess did not want to see her. Instead of being a creature that is convinced of uselessness and worthlessness, she just wants to live. The Countess swallowed. They should think carefully about the question of exile. Lorazi doesn't care what decision this family makes. No one should bother her anymore. The heir to the earldom of Arran gave his half-sister a meaningful look. Lindell rushed after Larazi. The bastard wasn't going anywhere until he finished speaking. This trash was completely unaware of his situation. Larazi, as always, doesn't think about anything. It's like she's having déjà vu in her head. The girl has already said everything. Let her ask someone to retell it. Didn't this bitch understand that Lindell was going to talk now? He squeezed his sister's wrist tightly. Larazi is in pain. What the hell is this brat doing? Let go quickly. If your hands are dear, she won't go anywhere. Here, the villainess was snatched from the hands of the tormentor with one strong movement, this pleasant warmth throughout her body. It comes from Damien. The butler roared furiously. The brat was tired of living, and it was he who hinted at the family's shame. The lady is fine, wow. Damien is so incredible. When he's angry, you can't take your eyes off him. How dare this brat raise his hand against a lady? What? It is dangerous to raise your hand if you have no strength in it and are not ready for the consequences, which is where the butler's frightening aura comes from. What the hell, Damien is just a servant, and Lindell almost went crazy from just one look at him. Milady is fine. No, her arm is broken. If the lady is joking, then everything is fine. She is so small. Lindell will tell his mother everything. A strong statement, let him not say that on the streets. Whether this girl really thinks she can just walk away remains to be seen. However, this nasty brat is part of the house that Damien serves, and they can throw him out anyway. And who here is really worried about whom? His duty is to take care of the lady, and not of himself. This guy is just incredible and is taking up more and more of Larazi's thoughts. They should not return to the gym. In that case, it would be better to take a walk in the summer garden. It is in bloom now. Wow, there was this amazing place in the county all the time, and everyone knew about it. The villainess plopped down right on the grass. The ground was a little damp, but what difference did it make? Let Damien lie down next to her. The sky is so beautiful from here, my lady is already better. It immediately became so when Damien hit the annoying brat. When the butler beat that bastard, the girl was very grateful to her handsome savior. It would be better if my lady stopped talking in the estate about Damien punching the second son of the head of the county. But Larazi will long remember this magical moment, this coward running away with such screams. Oh, it seems like the girl's hair got caught in the branches of that bush. Could Damien come to her rescue again? And what did the butler say? The young man asked his mistress not to lie down on the grass. Damien will have to bend over. The lady will have to endure a little. Such a pleasant closeness with him for at least an eternity. This character is beautiful in everything. Both soul and body are simply incredible. How can you not think about him? Amber eyes flashed. Why was the lady looking at Damien so intently? It's just that Larazi realized that Damien was also a guy, an enviable observation. The butler's eyes immediately widened, and only now did my lady realize this. The girl stretched into a contented smile. Damien was like a mother to her, so caring and warm. Why does the young man take so long to untangle the villainess's hair? My lady is always so noisy. Here the handsome hero froze right above the villainess's face. She immediately blushed. This guy can turn her head with one move or something. What is this strange situation? What is Damien doing? Why has the safe distance between them decreased? The girl can't give in to her feelings. She needs to save her life. She immediately pushed Damien away. A satisfied smile appeared on the face of the charming butler. What's the matter? Does Damien no longer look like his mother in his mistress's eyes? The young man unbraided all his hair. Let Milady take his hand. Damien will help her up. What it was, in fact, Miss Larazi's vision does not matter to the young man. What Damien is talking about, who does his mistress see the young man as? Her butler or her mother? The young man doesn't care at all about this, as long as he has the opportunity to stay close to Larazi. The villainess's heart skipped a beat. Everything around her seemed to freeze, and there were only them in the whole world. The maid brought fresh tea for the mistress, let her put it on the table. The girl took a couple of sips. A day had already passed, but she still couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. Larazi felt his breath on her, the touch of his warm hands, the power of his words. Surely the wonderful Damien was just joking. That's the kind of humor that exists in the world of romantic novels, apparently. This is her Damien. They always make fun of each other. So the young man definitely made fun of her. She needs to pretend that nothing happened. There was a knock at the villainess's bedroom door. Milady wanted to see Zion. Let him come through. Something happened. The girl just wanted to discuss his room. She felt uneasy about leaving the night in such a place. So maybe the young man wants to live here, in these big apartments. Why, it seems Zion broke down. Did Larazi really say something indecent again? Milady's room is still huge. You could easily put another bed here. No way. And how long has Damien been standing here? You can't leave a man in the room of an unmarried noble lady. In that case, you'll have to get permission from the count. Ugh. But they will be separated by a wall and a door. Sounds acceptable. Well, that's what we agreed on. Zion is very grateful to his mistress for such care. It really means a lot to the former prisoner. He is touched by her attitude. Well, of course the lady doesn't have favorites. Damien angrily squeezed the sheet of paper. This letter is for Miss Larossi personally. Since that's all, Damien will go. Let him stay for a minute. They won't be able to see each other so often anytime soon. Maybe they'll at least have some tea. It's a little sad to think about separation. Wouldn't it be nice to create a memory while Larossi is still here? That's what friends do. Let Zion sit down too. We need to call Dawson and Irina too. It will be more fun. And we also need to invite Ramp to a friendly get-together. Just a minute. Isn't Ramp the young man who broke the hearts of so many ladies? A cheeky and helpful guy who doesn't miss a single skirt. It's him. He and Rump decided to become friends. Milady's preferences are getting worse and worse. She should be more careful in choosing her loved ones. Larossi understands how important friends are in life, and despite Ramp's reputation, Miss still wants to be friends with him. And anyway, can there be friendship between two young and single people enough? In fact, in the opinion of absolutely everyone in the capital, Larossi is the one to be avoided. Damien forgot she is a dirty half-breed who has no place anywhere. She is not welcome anywhere. But all the rumors about Milady Larossi are unfounded, and that guy is considered a ladies' man by right. Rump is the second child in the family, always in the shadows, always under close surveillance. He is somewhat similar to the villain herself. Besides, when Ramp isn't trying to seduce her, he's quite tolerable, a strong argument. The young lady must not meet him alone, even if that is so. Larossi understood everything, teacher. Dear Larossi, this letter is from Ramp. He has learned that she is leaving the estate and going north. Didn't Milady say that they were just friends? What other dear, Ramp just has that style of communication. Ramp will be expecting the girl tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Larossi suggests that everyone go to this meeting together. This will be the meeting of the year, and here comes the young man. Larossi is glad to see her friend. The young man apologizes for the fact that the lady had to go all this way. It was worth it. By the way, who are these guys who are ready to carry Ramp out of here in bags? These are Larossi's closest friends. This is her wonderful butler. His name is Damien. And this is my lady's glorious knight. His name is Zion. She is really lucky with them. By the way, they had already met Zion. Yes, Ramp almost fainted then, my lady's friends. And his friends too. Some strange atmosphere. The girl thought that everything would be warm and easy, which is what Ramp wanted to talk about. Is Miss Larossi really going to go north because her family is throwing her out? Everything is not so. The villain leaves of her own free will. This is only the official version. The girl says this really seriously. Rampa didn't hear it right. She had been waiting for this for so long. From that moment on, her freedom, her personal choice, her true path, and long-awaited happiness will begin. Larossi plans to become a gorgeous, unemployed woman with a huge passive income. Ramp immediately understood this. His girlfriend was something special. That is, he wanted to say that Larossi was cool. Well, something like that. And why did Ramp want to meet here? Children immediately ran out to meet the young man. They were so happy to see Ramp. He was no less happy to see the kids. This was unexpected. Both young men immediately looked at each other. These children love Ramp so much. Well, Larossi told these owners that Ramp was actually a good guy. The young man really is different from the rumors. Damien also did not expect to meet such a side of him. Rami is grateful that his new friends came here with him today. The guys also want to help. The children will be very happy about this. These little monsters will wear out Larossi's friends in a few minutes, but the boys will sleep better. And this is a flower wreath, especially for a lady. What a beauty! Larossi will consider it an honor. The villainess will wear this wreath with pleasure. The girl happily hugged her neck. She is so grateful for this experience. They had a wonderful day. Rump should thank his friends for helping him. Ramp also decided to leave the Durman family estate, and it was Laura's courage that helped him take this step. Larossi is glad that she was able to help him in some way. She will support Ramp wherever he goes. And the girl also hopes that her friend has given up the image of an aristocrat greedy for girls, definitely. This time for real, Ramp has actually become attached to her and will miss her. But everything will be fine for both of them, so he sees Laura off with a smile into a happy life. Let his friend take care of herself. Laura will write him letters. This farewell means the real end. And at that moment, the girl had a final realization. Her long-awaited departure really took place. Here is a new life. What to do with a blue sapphire? You can take a diamond ring with you, and there is also a ruby set. There are still many emeralds in the boxes. What should the maids do with the jewels? If their mistress wishes to take anything with her, the villainess will take everything. This is moral compensation for years of persecution. Even Asmodeus would be on the villain's side now, well, that's not certain. The dresses should also be folded, only a couple of everyday ones. The rest they will sell. Larazi will not leave even a trace of herself in this house. Where should she go if she needs to send a letter? There is a trade guild nearby. Does Milady really want to go there herself? We can send a servant. This letter is a big secret, so the girl must send it herself. What is the lady up to? And Damien is curious. Not at all. He has a lot to do. It's so cold. He has already managed to fall out of love with her. Seriously, as if that was even possible, Damien slammed the book shut. Less flirting, more packing. Milady needs to leave for a while. Zion can escort her to the city. Today is such wonderful weather. After work you can go on a date, as the lady just said. Zion doesn't know what a date is. The knight immediately became dumbfounded. But Larazi is joking. Let him breathe out. In this house, no one understands flirting today. Larazi has some secret business planned. And very soon, something really interesting will happen. The villainess burst into frightening laughter. Someone had possessed the lady. Maybe it was worth bringing back the priests. By the way, if the young man himself needs anything, the capital is full of shops. You can find anything. Zion immediately blurted out that he needed a sword to be able to protect his lady. The former prisoner is now working as Miss Larazi's bodyguard. He must have a weapon. Zion has changed so much. Then in the dungeon of the servant merchants, he was like a wild and furious beast. His gaze alone was capable of killing on the spot. Even a brave knight would involuntarily shrink from it. The prisoner then looked at the villainess as if she was going to eat him alive, as if she were the most terrible enemy. But now the young man relaxed his guard and was even able to open up to her. Those moon-colored eyes, which once held only pain, now look straight at Larazi, promising to protect. This guy is like a menacing Rottweiler who immediately softens as soon as he sees his human. I just want to stroke it. What is this young lady doing? Zion immediately protested. The boy was just very cute. He was like a puppy. Let the lady stop this. He is a serious guy. Well, that's it. Soon they will choose a sword for the serious guy. Milady is teasing again. The day of departure has arrived. All the staff of Larazi will miss her. Milady must take care of herself and not catch a cold. The maids hope that Miss Larazi will be able to become truly happy in the future. The villain really managed to win over those who had to go through the torments of her heroine. She is simply amazing. They had sorted out the peak of the collective delusion. Damien thought that Milady would stay until spring. And what is it? Will her handsome young man really miss her? Damien immediately answered without thinking. He's going to miss Larazi so much. Wait, and Damien just admitted it like that. It was so unexpected. She didn't know what to think. Then there was a blowing of the nose. Dawson was choking with tears. The lady was leaving them. How can he let my lady go alone into this cruel world? Dawson will go with her, but without him, the whole county will fall apart. A young man should not sacrifice his goals. He deserves to get everything he wanted. The villainess will only miss the boys. Her heart will not respond to anything else here. Because these guys took care of her, no one else took care of her, Larazi will never be able to forget them. So my lady did understand this. Yes, Dawson burst into tears and snot again. This gift is especially for Damien. He can come to her at any time. The handsome hero's cheeks immediately turned red. Let the lady just wait a little. What is Damien talking about? A shrill scream was heard here, your ass. The whole troubled trio came out onto the balcony. Lindell was drooling. What did Milady do this time? Apparently someone did blab about the news to Larazi. She expected it. How to understand this? The villain did not expect that her farewell would be so emotional. She is touched. Let him immediately explain this article. It says here that Count Eppin is involved in charity work. The Count would give all 70% of the profits from Larazi's business to charity, and the old man thought he would profit from it. The Count's family is rich and without the money of an illegitimate child, so let them rejoice in their glory and be grateful. The villainess also wrote love letters on behalf of Lindell to noble ladies with a bad reputation. Let the kid call Larazi his Cupid, the little brat. That's the price he pays for blind dates. This brat really thinks she can walk away after all this, and just let the brat watch. Then the voice of Count Eppin's eldest son was heard, which meant that this day had come. Oh yeah, and Kylix must know that he got off easy for all his dirt. These donations will be enough for the shelter for a whole year. Thanks to her, their family will do at least something useful. Larazi sent all donations on behalf of Kylix to the orphanage Ramp invited them to. Revenge was to be exacted upon each of them, though it would still not be enough for what they had done to Larazi. Each one inflicted unbearable pain on the poor and defenseless girl every day, knowing that she needed their love. Calyx began to fully realize what he had done too late, and even then he did not correct anything, and there was only one rotten woman left for Larazi to expose. To the real Larazi, this would all seem like a drop in the ocean, but she hopes that it would at least make things a little easier for her. And now goodbye to everyone. Larazi hopes that no one was offended and that they will never see each other again. Let this little one not even dare to leave like that. Let her come back quickly. Lyndall began to tear his letters with his teeth. These characters are doomed to a miserable drag out of their lives. The Count called out to his illegitimate child. He was sorry. He was not able to fully feel this emotion. The villainess did not honor the Count with her answer. It was all empty talk. She doesn't give a damn about any of them. And the one to whom these words were really important, they killed. Frightened squeals and furious roars were heard in the winter garden. Zion rushed forward, quickly letting go of Milady. Everyone stay where you are, or this lady's throat will take its last breath. What the hell is going on here? This is not how Larazi imagined her housewarming. Why is all this happening? Can the villain at least spend one day without adventures? Larazi had literally just gained complete independence and long-awaited freedom, and lost it in a second. This guy really wasn't joking. The cold tip of the knife was getting closer to her neck. The young man ordered no one to move, otherwise this girl would suffer. So how did she end up in such a situation? After her sweet revenge on the Eppen household, the villainess went to Aslena, and only now did she realize that this was reality. The fact that the girl finally left the snake pit is such a strange feeling. Zion has a similar feeling, because they are all standing on the threshold of a new life. Let the young man remember this feeling well. In the future they should help each other. They will live so happily in their new home. I mean, the home of the lady and Zion. Is this really a confession? The villain wanted to say that they would all finally be able to live happily without feeling fear and pain all the time. Larazi herself was a subordinate in the Count's estate. Her position was no better than theirs. Why is the carriage shaking so much? Something got under the wheels of the carriage. We need to see. What does the coachman mean? They only have a short time left to their new home. Then a groan was heard under her foot. What the hell? The girl and the boy jumped at the same time in surprise. Just don't let anyone tell Larazi that she just stepped on a dead body. The body made a dull sound. Phew, she almost ended up behind bars. Apparently this guy was poisoned. It is unknown who he is and what goals he was pursuing, which means it is dangerous to be around him. It would be better to leave the young man here. How can you just take and abandon a person to the mercy of fate? Moments like these remind her that she is in another world. Helping is what is right. They will not abandon a stranger. Larazi would prefer that her knight not turn his back on someone in need of help. The young man's cheeks immediately flushed. Milady shouldn't be so kind to everyone. She'd already been told that. If it is poison, they will need an antidote, which is very expensive, about the same as a whole family's monthly expenses. Why is the coachman worried about such a small sum? Larazi is ridiculously rich. Let him get the antidote. This poor fellow should see a healer next. It was a hand extended out of the kindness of his heart. For now, we need to take the young man to the estate. If only the villainess knew how this would all turn out. What a rat. Larazi was just trying to help that bastard. We should run him over with a carriage twice, so that he wouldn't even have the strength to hold the damn sword. What is this girl muttering about? The young man said that no one should even think about doing anything. Everyone present immediately froze in fear for their mistress. She was bleeding. That bastard wounded Milady Larazi? What a cretin. He'd better put down his toothpick right now. While the villainess was still able to forgive him, Larazi saved the stranger while he was lying unconscious in the snowdrifts. But he might change his mind, as it was saved, since the lady didn't kidnap him. This guy is completely stupid. He sees ropes on his body somewhere. He was kept in a damp basement and was not given food. Let this genius lower his weapon immediately. This is the house of Larazi, not the dark lair of kidnappers. It didn't work out very well. The stranger put his sword behind his back. He just got confused. Irina immediately ran to the lady. She is fine, but there is so much blood on her neck. The maid will bring a healing potion right now. You need to wash the wound and stop the bleeding. Zion approached the stranger with lightning speed and delivered a crushing blow to the jaw. This idiot would be better off begging his mistress for forgiveness. What a monstrous device this is. The young man is very sorry. Very, very sorry. If it weren't for Larazi's fatigue, the guy wouldn't have gotten off so easily. Why did this genius even attack with his knife? Well, a gang of thugs attacked him. He was kidnapped. The young man managed to escape, but the poison overtook him faster than he could get to a safe distance. And as soon as the stranger opened his eyes, he immediately saw a servant in front of him, so he mistook the miss for a servant merchant. Yeah, so after waking up this guy, first thing he does is attack girls with a knife. She'll write it down. That's not true. The young man looks much better, so let him go and take care of himself. The stranger bowed. He promised to atone for his guilt for today's incident. This is superfluous. Let it simply not catch Miss Larazi's eye anymore. Judging by how sincerely this idiot apologizes, he is not such a bad person. After taking a few steps towards the main gate, the stranger fell to the ground again. Which again? What's wrong with him this time? If they help this idiot again, he will attack them again after waking up. The doctor said that it was just fatigue and the guy would soon wake up. Yeah, Larazi is waiting and can't wait. She ordered all sharp objects to be removed from the room. This is only the first day of her freedom, but it feels like an eternity has passed. The lady should have left this guy in the cold. The young man could finish him off if necessary. Yes, we should look into their personal files. The villainess wouldn't want a corpse in her backyard, given her reputation. She would be thrown behind bars without a trial. So, congratulations to everyone on your housewarming. Everything went well, but tomorrow is a new day. And now to the pleasant moments of the day. This is a compliment to everyone. The guys worked hard. Let them use this money to buy their own freedom. The day her assistants buy the full debt, they will gain independence. As for Zion and Lion, they are in the first-class servant category, and their ransom will take longer. However, this is all nonsense. The main thing is that they will all be able to live their own lives. Lion turned away in embarrassment. Why was the young lady doing all this for them? Why was she so kind? And how could it be otherwise? Because they are all exactly the same people as Larazi herself. Guys are no different from girls, even though society says otherwise. But if this is not enough reason for the young men, then let them simply write it all off as a lucky chance. From now on, let everyone call her Lady Larazi or Miss Laura. No hostesses. The boy jumped up with delight. Class. Irina entered the room. The lady needed to take a look at this. What happened there again? The villainess entered the guest bedroom. Why did the maid call her? Let her lay it out already. Well, here's the thing. A stranger's voice was heard. Where is he? What? Has it really started again? Irina did remove all sharp and cutting objects from the bedroom, right? And who is he? Come on, the girl is like she got into a movie. This guy really doesn't remember anything at all. Damn it, what a nasty thing. Why did this happen on the day of Larazi's housewarming party? The villainess bit her lip and silently walked out of the guest bedroom. Why did Larazi even get involved in all this? What was she thinking? This guy is definitely a nobleman and wounded. No one will believe her. She didn't live peacefully, and it wasn't worth starting. Her peaceful life ended before it even began. Why is my lady so worried? It's all because of that stranger without memory. In that case, Miss Larazi has nothing to worry about. Zion will take care of him. The guys only have one way out, yes. Stop. The girl will not tolerate blood in her home and on her conscience. The girl tried to stop her bodyguard, but got tangled in the hem of her skirt carefully. Zion managed to intercept the villain in time and prevented her from falling, and she seemed to be in a drama again. The bodyguard just saved her pride. What is that stone block under her palm? And why are the girl's hands on this guy's chest anyway? The villainess immediately recoiled from the knight, too close. She needed more space. And why is Zion's hand still on Larazi's waist? Why is the young man frozen in place? It's safe now. The bodyguard can let Milady go. Zion can't hear it all now. The knight's cheeks immediately turned red and he recoiled. Yes, he was simply lost in thought. The young man then remembered that he still had things to do, so he'd better go, whatever. What the hell was going on that made Zion suddenly blush so much and start avoiding the girl? The guys in romantic novels are so sensual and sweet. How can you resist them? After a spectacular and chaotic start to independent life, the morning came too quickly. There was an insistent knock at the villainess's door. Milady Larazi has a free minute, let's say. The stranger apologizes for the intrusion. He wanted to check his things, where the miss let him in. Why is Irina yelling, does the lady have a short memory, or does she just like to walk around in an indecent manner in front of men? The young man immediately closed his eyes. He was so sorry, but what was the matter? He would come later when my lady was ready. The guy can just stay in no case. Irina hissed at the lady. Scared her? Doesn't my lady have enough scandals or something? A young aristocrat must appear before a gentleman in a dignified manner, which is not the case with the lady. Now Irina has also picked up this moralizing tone from Damien. He taught her all this, and now Larazi has two bores. Actually, Larazi is the main one here, but for some reason she always gets it from someone. Everything is ready. Now Miss Larazi can talk to the young gentleman. He wanted to look over his things. This might help bring back some memories. His things are now in the warehouse. Lorazi will ask you to bring them. The villainess told me to wait for her in the hall in 30 minutes, but what's going on here? Everyone must be prepared. You never know when an attack will happen. The frightened stranger huddled on the sofa under the boy's watchful eyes. Each of the villainess's retinue armed themselves with whatever they could find and kept their eyes on the young man, just in case he moved. The girl burst into loud laughter. Now that's a squad of Avengers. The guys are really the best. The guy doesn't remember, but earlier there was an incident with him. That's why everyone at home is on guard with him now. Let the guy take a look at things. Maybe something will become clear. The young man had seen this necklace before. Then a little boy flew up to the table and took his paws away. What a sweet kitten. The little one is trying to help and look like a reliable protector for her. Adorable. These things belong to this young man, then okay? But the boy can stab him with a fork if necessary. He is so brave. The stranger brought the necklace to his face. It definitely had some meaning for him. The young man opened the locket. Inside was a photograph and a note. Ante from Noah, 612. Apparently Ante is the boy's name, but who is Noah? A sharp pain pierced Ante's head. It happens like fragments of memory are torn out. Everything is fine. Let Ante not torment himself so much. He learned his name, which is already an achievement. Perhaps the young man can stay here for a few days until his memory returns. A threatening aura immediately filled the room. Okay, let everyone forget what he just said. It's risky to let a stranger live in your home, but he has nowhere else to go, and throwing him out would be cruel. Besides, Zion is clearly stronger than him, so let Auntie stay, but on one condition. Instead of paying for living in the wonderful Lorazi house, the boy will help with the housework. Of course, this won't be any trouble for Ante, so let him not rush to conclusions. In this case, the girl is ready to give the first task. Let everyone gather. They will leave soon. The crystal ball is a must, as is the hand-knitted scarf, and they should put that in the basket too. Lorazi will take absolutely everything. She always dreamed of saying this. And now she also has 3 porters. How nice it is to spend money. But didn't they come here to buy everything they needed? That's true. Auntie doesn't know, but Lorazi is ridiculously rich. That's how it is. Zion told his lady to stop. What's the matter? Someone is watching them. Lion also feels someone's gaze. Maybe it's because of Auntie. Yesterday's attackers could find him to finish what they started. This is true, but the villain of the novel also has many enemies. They will not be victims and stand here idly by, as Miss Lorazi suggests. Don't boys know that the best defense is a good offense, lady? Where did you see the assassin squad here? What their target looks like, the guys look strong, but together the mercenaries can handle them. We need to deal with this couple carefully and without unnecessary noise, and avoid violence if possible. Zion will take that big guy, Lion will help him with the second one. Let the guys stick together. Auntie also wants to help the guys. Then the mercenaries saw the ambush when they managed to sneak up. Zion and Lion acted like an elite security force, so why were these 2 unfortunates following them? What the... The mercenaries immediately looked at each other and stared at the rescued young man. He was Ante. The guys had already figured this out without them. The boy's emerald eyes immediately lit up. And what does this even mean? What do the mercenaries need? Here, Auntie rushed forward. What the hell? What is this guy doing and why? Ante began to deliver blow after blow. Both mercenaries fell exhausted to the ground, but it was not at all necessary that he rushed to beat them. The guy proudly raised his chin and pointed his finger at himself, who laid out the mercenaries. Ante laid out the mercenaries. Why were these 3 staring at the guy like that? This is a new life, and what did the villainess expect? Rainbows and unicorns?